We did.
We're yes, sir.
Yes,
We're happy and thankful.
very thankful. They're scared the crap out of them. Poor dogs.
Sure.
No, exactly. No.
So I tried to play the
We'll handle things. Beautiful. Nat.
No, it's a special saw. Yeah, it's a special saw that created a bunch of sparks.
Oh, okay.
Created danger to the
Or burn the house down. We definitely don't
Oh,
want
yeah, no. Yep. Yeah. Yes. One night. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Yes. What do you think? I'll sit behind. I'll sit next to you.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order for February 27th, 2024. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, we have the invocation by Pastor Casey Clowen Dunsworth from San Marcos Lutheran. Welcome.
Good evening, esteemed members of the City Council and all of our neighbors here in San Marcos. My name is Casey Clowen Dunsworth, and I serve as the pastor of San Marcos Lutheran Church. Thank you for the opportunity to join you this evening. As we gather in this hallowed chamber, we invoke the spirit of unity, understanding, and progress. Let us take a moment to reflect on the responsibility bestowed upon our elected leaders and the city staff to serve our community with integrity and diligence. As we engage in the important work of this evening's agenda, let us keep foremost in our minds and hearts the well-being of all our neighbors, especially those most marginalized. May our efforts be fueled by a commitment to justice, equity, and the flourishing of our city. In this assembly, let mutual respect reign supreme, and let our collective efforts be marked by transparency, accountability, and unwavering dedication to the common good. May your deliberations be guided by wisdom and your actions informed by empathy. Let us embrace diversity of thought and perspective, recognizing that it is only through collaboration and commitment to truly civil discourse that we enact positive change together. May our discussions be fruitful, our resolutions just, and our outcomes beneficial to every member of our beloved community here in San Marcos. With reverence for your duties and gratitude for the trust placed in you by your constituents, let us begin in earnest the work that we are called to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Skolik, could we please have the roll call?
Councilmember Musgrove. Here. Councilmember Nunez.
Present.
Councilmember Sinella.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Jenkins. And Mayor Jones.
Here. Okay, if the council could please join me in front, that would be great. Okay, the first order of business. Oh, you know what? I actually got mine back. Oop. That one, please. Sometimes I do that. I don't think I've done that before. Okay, our first presentation is the San Marcos Unified School District Career Technical Educational Month. This evening we have Dr. Johnson, the superintendent. I know I saw him. There you are. And Dr. Tiffany Campbell, the deputy superintendent, as well as Nikki DiRana, the director of Career Technical Education. Is Nikki with us? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to read this. You guys can come on up. That's fine. And we are so thankful to have you here this evening and have such a great school district. I mean, you really do go over and above to love on our kids and educate them at the same time. Anyway, I'm going to read this real quick. So the San Marcos City Council hereby recognizes Career Technical Education Month. Whereas career technical education provides learners with the knowledge and skills they need to be prepared for college and careers. Whereas CTE gives purpose by learning by emphasizing real-world skills and practical knowledge within a selected career focus. And whereas students in CTE programs take specialized courses in addition to required courses and often participate in internships, engage with mentors, and practice what they are learning through hands-on projects. And whereas students can participate in CTE in the middle, high school, and at post-secondary institutions in all communities, in all states across the United States. And whereas CTE leads to fewer dropouts, creates pathways to college, delivers marketable degrees, and creates access to high-quality careers. Therefore, we, the City of San Marcos City Council, do hereby proclaim February 2024 as Career Technical Education Month. So would you like to say a few words? And I do want to say one thing. You know what? Our kids really, not only do they get educated, but really getting career ready and focusing on internships is a big deal. Because I know when I was that age, I was terrified to really engage with adults. And I think it's really important for our kids to learn that. And so I'm glad that we're taking that focus. So come on over and say a few words if you don't mind.
Thank you. I'll just say very briefly, thank you to you, Mayor Jones, and to the council for all of your support and the many ways that you do for our students. We are a community here, and when we do, for example, some of our Rising Star events, I like to say that there's a whole community behind our kids. So we have the primary task of educating them day by day, but we're very appreciative of all the efforts of everybody in the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Campbell, did you have anything to say?
I will just echo Dr. Johnson's words. I know I'm smaller. I will echo Dr. Johnson's words of thank you to our city. And really, our schools are more than just about reading, writing, and arithmetic. We really are about a career-first attitude and movement to getting our kids to where they need to be. So thank you to the city for proclaiming this CTE month.
All right, thank you. You get to take a picture with us. Sorry. Okay, next up, and you know, this really is the best part of our job, recognizing others in our community, because we don't like to toot our own horn either. Anyway, this is a certificate of recognition for Leobardo Moreno Villanueva with an honorable certificate of recognition for his remarkable contribution. Yeah, come on down. I want you to talk a little bit about what you did, because this is really cool. For his remarkable contribution to public education regarding the vital significance of sustainability and the integration of innovative recycling methods. His contest-winning design, crafted for the City of San Marcos and Cal State San Marcos's 2023 Organic Recycling Signage Art Contest, seamlessly combines artistic flair with sustainability principles. Furthermore, it serves as a testament to how creativity can inspire environmental awareness and foster eco-conscious behavior. Come on over. Oh, is that it? Okay, tell us a little bit about it, if you don't mind. Don't be shy.
Okay, So this artwork it was for my class. I was like bring a data, so I find data about. Well, the assignment was like find data and translate it to art. But what I did is like do a survey and ask my student and the school, ask them I asked them like do you recycle the trash correctly, like where it's supposed to go, and then say like yes, no, sometimes, never. So with that data, all the question I did, I ending like created art like. Some students say we don't really recycle. Okay, you don't recycle. I will represent it like trash is in everywhere. So I represent that trash and in the water. Like as you can see in the sand, there are trash because that represent that data. And also I found out it's because it's made it really hard to recycle. Because some trash, you don't know where they go. It's hard to, it's happened to me too. Like when I have some trash, where
Right,
this
which
go?
one do you put it in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
this
for
go?
sure.
It's just like three trash container.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to do like, why not create a multiple trash can that where they can recycle like organic metal and what else? I feel
E-waste too,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
so
a
it
big
will
one.
it will make more easy to recycle. Like there are more containers, so we can
Right.
recycle where they're supposed to go.
So I'm curious,
yeah.
so where were you interviewing people at?
Oh,
Sorry, I am always thinking of questions.
I did survey online.
Oh, online?
Yeah, so I created a survey and then I sent to the link to my classmate, to the AC program, another program at the school. So not a lot of people do the survey, but with that data, I finished doing this, I created this data.
So a lot of people, I think, don't know what to do with their food. Did you find that to be the?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they don't really
the
know.
civic like, oh, I don't know how to recycle because they don't have container. Like most of they say that organic is the hard part because they don't have like specific place where they can put it.
Which everyone out in the audience and then at home should be doing that now. It's very easy to do. You just put it all in your green container. Even any paper, for instance, like if you had a paper towel that had food on it, or a napkin, or any of that, it goes all in the green organics. So thank you so much, and congratulations. I'm going to give that to you, and then we're going to take a picture with the council, if you don't mind. Thank you.
One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the next order of business will be our consent calendar. Are there any items that any council members wish to pull?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Seeing none, moving on to oral communications. And we have several speakers. So we're going to start with Christiane Lord, followed by Natalie Martinez, then John Mosher will be following that. Christiane. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I do always
okay.
forget to turn that around,
That's okay.
actually.
No, we're back tonight, so good evening. We were here last week. We had quite a few concerns about 647 Elizabeth. And it was just so important for our neighborhood that not only do you hear our concerns, but we could express our gratitude. We are so thankful. So I'm sure you all know, but there was a police raid in our neighborhood on Thursday, and it resulted in the arrest of Daryl and Bori. And oh boy, like what a difference we've already felt in our neighborhood. And we just wanted to make sure you knew how appreciative we are. It was very apparent how much planning had to go into this, how many different departments were there. It was so comprehensive. And we could see by like the different acronyms on shirts, like just so many different police I don't know if they're like different forces or task units, what they are, but they were present. But not only the police, but we've worked with animal control, we've worked with code enforcement, we've worked with, oh goodness, today I was on the phone with the DA. But my whole point is that everybody we've spoken to throughout this process, even the librarian helped me when I was looking up like different codes. It's just been really eye-opening how well our city is run, and how empathetic everyone is. Everyone let us have our say. Everyone was willing to help. Everyone was just gracious and kind. And it's so hard when you're sharing something so personal about your neighborhood. That's our home, that's our life, our kids, quite literally their safety. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that we are forever grateful. This past weekend was the first time in probably almost a year that we had our neighborhood children in the front yard. They were riding bikes, they were fixing their Nerf cars. It was just so beautiful to hear them laughing and running. And we just wanted to say thank you. Quite a lot more wanted to be here this evening. We do have our meeting with the sheriff tomorrow for our neighborhood watch. Mimi's leading that. So a lot of the neighbors, they can only spare the one night with childcare and such. So we wish more could be here to say thank you, but we did want to make sure that those of us who could come made it known how appreciative we are. So thank you.
Oftentimes people don't take the time to come in and thank us when we really are trying to do our best. And I'm just thankful that we have such a great policing agency, which is our San Diego County Sheriff. And if you recall, after the last meeting, our captain went outside, was totally available. I cannot say enough about Captain Ralph, but truly we just have a great team, and I really appreciate you coming in and letting us know. I know that all of the council really is very happy to hear the good news, and we appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Natalie Martinez, followed by John Mosier.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Natalie Martinez, and I am a part of the Universidad Popular team, and I am here speaking today in support of our Villa Serena residents. As you have heard at previous meetings and will continue to hear today, the residents have been met with an extremely stressful and frustrating relocation process. Though they have been assigned a case manager, the communication with that team has been extremely difficult for them, and many are having to search for their own housing. So something that has become glaringly obvious through this process is that this city has a lack of affordable and low-income housing for these residents. They have been going to apply at places that have waiting lists that are years long. Any rental assistance that had been available during the pandemic is long gone. And many of these residents live on a fixed income and rely on the support of affordable housing to provide for their household. It's not realistic to ask them to suddenly double or triple their income to afford regular rates in the city. I hope that by them coming here today to share their own experiences, eventually we'll be able to streamline relocation processes like this. It's unfair to ask our residents of this city to have to face this frustrating process. It's really grueling and anxiety-ridden for them, and it's just unfair to our neighbors to have to send them out like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. One thing I did want to mention is the city, our city has worked so hard at providing affordable housing. Out of all of the cities in the county, which there are 18 cities, we have the most affordable housing per capita, I think, even more than the city of San Diego, because they are much larger than us. We don't have as much because they're a much larger city. But about 7% of our total housing is deed restricted affordable. So we have done a very good job in many ways, and I know that the relocation process is a little frustrating because but it's necessary in some instances, because what's happening is the building is past its life use, and so it's going to need to be rebuilt. And there's a timing that's associated with that. And so I really implore you to maybe we could have you sit down with city staff so you could understand the process maybe a little bit more, to help, I encourage you to do that so you understand exactly how that works. I think it would be very helpful so that you, it doesn't happen very often that there is an opportunity to rebuild, but it is really for the safety and the health of our community to have these brand new housing units, and sometimes they just have to be rebuilt because there's no way to continue repairing them because they get so old and dilapidated. So I just encourage you to maybe take the time to sit down with city staff so you can understand that a little bit more.
I would
Thank you.
happily take you up on that offer.
Thanks.
And I
Okay.
think it's also fair to point out the whole county is facing a housing crisis. It isn't limited to the city.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. John Mosier is next.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, Michelle, Helen, and Phil. I want to talk about a couple different things tonight. First, if I start with just our mobile home park, San Marcos Mobile Estates, two things. I want to thank Councilmember Mike Sanella for coming out and spending quite a bit of time with me going around the park, taking a look at the issues that have been brought up by our different residents over time. The same thing that you, Sharon, Mayor, and Ed, that you did also a few years ago, to understand why we come in here. The other thing is right now we're at a point where we have to put in our petition for the rent increase. And I brought some maps of our park because the counts on it, even though we have 267 spaces, we only actually have 264 actually living spaces. That's the way it's numbered. A couple areas, the numbers are passed over, so it shows it on paper. You think we've got 3 extra spaces than what we actually do. So I brought the paper. I don't know if I give it to you, Phil, or who actually checks it in. Okay, I'll get them to you. The other thing is, at the last city council meeting, I was talking about the vans, getting our seniors around, and the microtransit program Sharon talked about from North County Transit District. Looking at that, I also dug into what we have at our senior center, and they have the program there, where, especially for lunchtime, where they give the seniors a discount to get back and forth to lunch. Their fees after that for getting around the city are comparable to the lowest fee on the microtransit. What I wanted to do is check to go further into it, is to see how we could move our seniors around similar to how they do the lunch program, but getting them to the farmer's market, or getting them down to Restaurant Row when that gets built out, and some of these other developments we've got. The question is, who do I talk to about it? I know I can find it under Parks and Rec and somebody at the senior center, but the lunch program has to be set up where it's being supplemented by something. So that's what I'd like to try and find out, who I could talk to and work with on that.
Okay, it's a non-agenda item,
Right.
But I'm pretty sure we have your information, so we can follow up with
Right,
you,
ma'am.
definitely.
Right, okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much. Thank you, John. Next up is Angelica Santiago, followed by Kathy Steele. And then after Kathy, it will be Natasha Zander Hilms. Better make sure that's right.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Angelica Santiago, and I am a community educator here with Universidad Popular. And actually, I've been here in the past, I would say 3 or so meetings. And just to let you know a little bit about me is that I actually was raised here in San Marcos, specifically in District 1 by Autumn Drive and San Marcos Boulevard. And I think it's amazing, but I completed my whole education here in San Marcos, from kinder to 12th grade, Grizzlies, and my higher education as well in San Marcos. So I do consider San Marcos my home and my community. So I am here to bring to your attention the need of affordable housing in the city of San Marcos, and different formats, right? Just like how my colleague Natalie has mentioned. So in the past weeks, I've had the opportunity to speak to many of the Villa Serena Phase 2 residents. So actually, 9 of them are sitting here 9 of them who wrote their names down and will not be speaking because they don't feel comfortable speaking. They have been speaking and they feel that they are not being heard. But they did write their names down to be present. So it has been a very complicated, confusing process. Many of the residents who have been here, residents in San Marcos for over 40 years, 10 years, many different years, wish to stay in their community, San Marcos. And they want their children to stay in the San Marcos Unified School District. San Marcos is their community, it's their home, like it is to me. They want continued aid in navigating this complex relocation process. Yes, a rebuilding is very necessary, I agree, especially for emergencies and disasters, but this relocation process, very complicated, I don't think is as needed. Therefore, how can the city of San Marcos further support Villa Serena Phase 2 residents and future residents who might have to navigate this process? Can we host workshops in Spanish with clear language and with direct available resources such as renters' rights, homeownership opportunities, how to navigate and understand affordable housing, how to advocate for affordable housing in our city? Thank you, Mayor, council members, and staff for your time and for allowing us to speak and having this space. I hope action is taken to aid in a dignified way to our San Marcos residents from Villa Serena and to learn from this situation to mitigate such stress and trauma to future San Marcos residents. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you so much. I did want to clarify that we follow a process. Actually, it's not even really us. A relocation plan is submitted to the state, the county, and then the city of San Marcos. It follows a process. So we didn't come up with a new process. The process is a process that is extremely predicted or prescribed by law, and it is following the law. What I did want to mention is we have about over 2,100 deed-restricted affordable units. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's about 7% of our total housing. Unfortunately, there's no way to actually just build affordable housing out of the blue. It's very expensive. It costs about $600,000 per unit, is what I'm told. That's actually a number that is due to how expensive housing is to build. So, we're doing a very good job, better than 17 other cities for sure. But I hear you, and I appreciate your comments very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Kathy Steele, followed by Natasha Zander Helms, and then Angela Montoya will be after that. Hi. Sorry, I didn't realize you were already up there. I was trying to.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. Thanks for the opportunity for letting me speak tonight. 2 weeks ago, I sat in the audience in solidarity with the residents of Villa Serena. I listened to their heartbreaking stories and wondered why this situation was allowed to devolve the way it has. One speaker had to take the day off to search for affordable housing, a day without pay that she could not afford. They were all worried, frustrated, and without hope that they would not have a place to live soon, leaving them and their children homeless. It took great courage to speak and let our city council know the concerns and frustrations they face. 42% of our residents are of Latino descent, but it appears that their voices have not been heard. National Corps has known for some time that they'd be refurbishing the apartments there, but it seems they gave little consideration to where the residents would go during construction. It's my understanding there are still 54 families without a place to go. National Corps will lose funding if families aren't placed in affordable housing by May 1st. So it's in their best interest to step up the process and find housing for these residents before then. Every single family should get housing they can afford. 90% of the residents of Villa Serena are Spanish-only speakers, yet National Corps gave them valuable information and contracts in English only. How is this just? That opens the possibility of signing something that they don't fully understand. These human beings, these citizens of our city of San Marcos deserve the same consideration that all residents deserve. Imagine yourselves in their situation, low income, long work hours, and struggling to make ends meet. Most of us here tonight are fortunate enough not to have these worries. We have a roof over our heads and food in our pantries. Now imagine yourselves and your children without housing, food insecure, and possibly living in your car, or even worse, on the street. How would you feel? I expected action after the last meeting, but from what I've heard, there's been very little progress. I'm calling on you tonight to agendize this critical issue for the next City Council meeting and take action to ensure that all Villa Serena residents have affordable housing so they are not left homeless and hopeless. Thank you for your time, and good evening.
Thank you, Kathy. So I think there is a little bit of misunderstanding as to what the city's role in this is. There have been allegations that the voices have not been heard by the city council, but I would disagree with that. We are not a party to the transaction. We are simply the city of San Marcos that has had this relocation plan that has been delivered to us, the same as the county and then the same as the state. From what I understand, and you know, I think we should maybe, oh, so there's Sylvia. I didn't even realize you were there. My apologies. I think that this is not an agendized item, but we are separate. Like, we are not in charge of this. It's not, you know, we are making sure that the meetings are happening. I believe there was one last night, and there's going to be another one tomorrow night, from what I've been told. So the fact that, and we do want everyone's voices to be heard. For 2 meetings now, we have allowed everyone 5 minutes, sometimes multiple times, to come up and have their voices heard. So I would disagree with that. But anyway, I would like to have that on the record, that we really have done everything on our end to have these discussions to be happening. But again, we're facilitating the discussions. We are not a party to the actual agreements. And so anyway, next would be Natasha Zander-Hilms, followed by Antonia Montoya, and then our last speaker will be Salvador Gomez.
It's Hilmus, but I know you get it wrong. It's okay.
I'm sorry, which one?
Hilmus.
Hilmus. My apologies.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Everybody does it.
Okay.
So hello, everyone, and thank you, Mayor and council members, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on our neighbors at Villa Serena. It's only recently that I've really decided to become more active and involved in all things in the city. And one of the reasons I chose to be on Traffic Commission, to step my foot in there, and I appreciate that opportunity. I've also had the time to volunteer at Universidad Popular, and that's why I'm starting to hear these things that are happening with our neighbors there at Villa Serena. Additionally, starting to come to the council meetings has really opened my eyes. And the situation with our neighbors at Villa Serena is troubling. Starting to ask questions, starting to hear things, and trying to find so I can become more informed. And from what I can gather, it sounds like our neighbors are just not getting the assistance they need. I just found out the meeting was not last night, it was canceled. So we're getting mixed information here. And I just want to say to all you people back here that have been stepping up, I applaud you. It's not easy to get up here. And these people that don't, English is their second language, coming up here and in our process here, so I applaud them, and I think that's great they're doing that. I don't want to see anybody unhoused, especially here in San Marcos, because that can lead to a lot of things that aren't very good. And one of the things is, I went online to the San Marcos mission statement. And the mission of City of San Marcos is to improve the quality of life for those who live, work, and visit San Marcos by providing a safe family atmosphere that is rich and diverse in cultural and natural resources and promotes economic and educational opportunities. Now, I assume that that's what we want to live by because that is our mission statement. Or is it like what a lot of businesses and cities do? They just write it and it's just there. We should be living and breathing this. Additionally, I went on to National Corps' website, and their commitment to serve goes beyond providing decent, safe, and affordable housing. And I understand things need to get rebuilt and that, but it should have been happening way before these people are going to be pushed out on the street. If it's true from National Corps, why aren't they doing better? By the way, I worked in banking for over 40 years. I did lending and taught lending. There were always contingencies with loans granted. And I'm hearing National Corps receive funds. Where was the contingency to make sure that those people had housing before they were put out on the street? I think as a city, we can do better. We have a great percentage. We're better than the other cities in affordable housing. But you know what? Let's be the prominent leader and continue that. Let's do better for our neighbors. We can just do better. Thank you.
Next up is Antonia Montoya, followed by Salvador Gomez.
Buenas noches a todo el grupo que están aquí. Mi nombre es Antonia Montoya y yo soy residente de Villa Serena.
Uno momento. Sorry, we need to have the translator. Sorry. So that we can understand also. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Antonia Montoya.
My name is Antonia Montoya.
Y soy residente de Villa Serena.
And I am a resident of Villa Serena.
He venido aquí a hablar para su atención de tener una respuesta.
I have come here searching for an answer.
Ya que hasta ahora no hemos tenido nada como residente de Villa Serena.
Since we haven't had any results as a resident of Villa Serena.
Y estoy esperando la relocación.
And I am waiting for the relocation.
Yo estoy aquí con mis vecinos porque todos estamos pidiendo.
I'm here with my neighbors because we were all asking
a ustedes su apoyo como alcaldesa de San Marcos y su equipo.
For your support and as a mayor and also as your team.
Yo sé que a lo mejor ustedes no nos informan eso, pero hay mucha ayuda que nos pueden ofrecer ustedes.
I know that there's a lot of help that maybe it's not being offered to us, but I think you can help us.
Como la sección 8, porque ahorita donde hemos ido a aplicar de una recámara, a todos me han dicho que son $1,500.
So right now, section 8, we have tried to apply for a 1-bedroom and it's $1,500.
Para mí, que soy una persona de 65 años, yo le dije al Chris y me dijo, tengo un apartamento de 995, ¿te puedes mantener con $100? Yo le dije, si tú te mantienes, yo también.
And Chris told me that there was an apartment of $995, and he asked me, do you think you have enough money for the rest of your expenses? And I said, well, if you could, I would.
Yo ahorita he estado enferma y he estado pasando que cancelé mi cita para mi cirugía de mi vista. En enero la tenía, ahora la volví a cancelar porque no hay una respuesta para mí para acomodarme en un apartamento.
Right now, I'm not doing very well health-wise. I have had to cancel 2 appointments for my eye surgery. This is the second time because I haven't been able to say that I have a home that I can go back to after surgery.
Siempre he estado, tengo 46 años viviendo aquí en esta área de San Marcos.
I have been living here for 46 years in this area of San Marcos.
Me dijo Chris que había apartamentos en San Diego, Chula Vista y todo. Entonces yo le dije, entonces ustedes nos quieren hacer como la manager que se trajo gente de otros lados en vez de relocarnos a nosotros.
So Chris said that he would relocate us. There were properties in Chula Vista, National City, and San Diego. And I said to him, well, then you're trying to do the same as, bringing all the new people into this area and we get kicked out.
Digo, porque si los apartamentos ya nos habían dicho que cuando estuvieran listos nos iban a relocar, ¿por qué trajeron gente de otros lados si nosotros tenemos la preferencia porque somos residentes?
We were told that we would be relocated since we were the, first residents here. Instead, they brought new people and we were kicked out.
Y precisamente por eso estoy aquí, porque quiero que ustedes se den cuenta, porque las personas que están encargadas de manejar Villa Serena no están haciendo las cosas como debe de ser.
So this is why I'm here, because the people that manage Villa Serena are not doing the things the way it should be.
No sé a dónde podemos nosotros poner eso también, porque si no saben lo que está pasando con ellos, que no nos dieron preferencia a nosotros, que somos residentes de Villa Serena.
I don't know how to go about this or where it should be written down or informed or, have some kind of data of what is going on, because obviously we should have had the first call on all the apartments instead of having new people. They're not helping us as residents of Villa Serena.
Ahora dicen que hay una, como por ejemplo nosotros que venimos a hablar, el problema en que estamos, que podemos tener que ya no nos renten ahí, que porque pues ellos son nomás trabajadores, no son dueños de los apartamentos.
So I'm not very clear on, may I clarify, please?
Yeah, yes, please.
A ver, acláreme bien qué es
Sí,
lo que
que
está
por ejemplo
tratando
como
de
yo
decir.
que vengo aquí y todos los que venimos,
For example, us that we are representing our neighborhood right now,
que eso nos va a afectar y que no nos van a rentar, que porque estamos viniendo.
we have been told that coming here will affect us and that they're not going to rent any properties to us because we are coming to you.
Eso ya es como una amenaza, pero yo no tengo miedo, ¿saben por qué? Porque aquí no nomás soy yo, somos muchos los que estamos viviendo en Villa Serena.
And to me, that's a threat. And I'm not coming here just for me personally. I'm coming for all the residents in Villa Serena.
Y tenemos que tener una solución. Si ustedes nos pueden dar una solución o nos pueden ayudar, ¿dónde podemos ir a que nos escuchen más?
And we need to have a solution, being that maybe you can provide it, or maybe you can inform us of how we can have that solution. Help us do something.
Porque ahorita queremos la solución. Ahorita estamos tensos con esto de que vamos a buscar apartamento y no encontramos.
We want a solution. We're looking for properties and we don't find anything. We have nowhere to go.
No hemos tenido ninguna respuesta de Chris, de nadie.
We haven't had a response from Chris or anybody.
Yo le tengo que estar hablando, yo le hablé y le dije, ¿qué está pasando?
I'm always the one having to call him and ask, what is going on?
Todo está en proceso, todo está en proceso.
Oh, everything's in process, everything's in process.
Por eso venimos aquí y yo se los agradezco por sus atenciones y que si ustedes saben cómo podemos meter una aplicación o ayuda de la sección 8 para las personas madres solteras y de la edad que yo tengo, que somos
we're
seniors.
here, because we want a solution, and maybe you guys know something. We have a lot of single mothers, people of my age, and we all need to have a place to go.
Okay. Entonces, pues yo les agradezco su
So I'm very
atención
grateful.
y también que se pongan en el lugar que estamos nosotros para que puedan apoyarnos en esto.
And please walk in our shoes so that you can support what we're trying to do.
Si hay programas para que nos
If there's
ayuden.
programs that are available, please let us know. Maybe you can help.
Pues muchas gracias y se los agradezco y espero su apoyo de ustedes siempre.
Thank you so much. With deep gratitude, I will wait and see if you can help us.
Thank you. I actually do have a couple of questions.
tengo un par
Sorry,
de
I'm
preguntas.
just trying to find. Oh, shoot. I just misplaced something. Okay, so I do have a question.
Entonces, tengo preguntas para usted.
When you said you were kicked out, what does that mean?
Cuando usted dice que los corren o los sacan, ¿qué es lo que quiere decir con eso?
Que por ejemplo, si nos están diciendo que para el día primero, si nosotros no nos salimos o lo que sea, que eso nos va a afectar para poder ir a rentar a otro lado.
Well, that if we don't leave the property on the first of the month, that's going to affect us to go anywhere else.
Ahora están diciendo que los $5,000 que nos ofrecieron nos los van a dar hasta que entreguemos las llaves. Si no tenemos un dinero para ir a pagar una renta y un depósito, madres solteras y senior.
And the $5,000 that they were going to give us, they said that they would give them to us when we hand in the keys. How are we going to hand in the keys and leave when we don't have anywhere to go? And we have a lot of single moms and people that are like me and this elderly age.
Okay, so you were given notice on January 1st, or what was
¿Se
the
les dio
day?
la orden de evacuación en enero primero?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, so you were given 4 months' notice to move out by May 1st, right?
Entonces se les
Is that
dijo que
right?
se tenían que ir para mayo primero.
Sí, ya
Desde
tenemos que estar desocupadas.
Yes, it has to be vacant by then.
Okay, sorry, when she said when she said the 1st, we're going to be kicked out, I was trying to get clarification on that.
Estaba yo tratando de aclarar lo del
And
día
then, who told you that coming here would affect whether you were receiving a rental? Who told you
¿Quién le
that?
dijo a usted que usted se metería en problemas si viene estas juntas para poder buscar otro lugar?
Porque nos han estado escuchando.
¿Pero quién le dijo?
A mí no me dijo, me mandaron el mensaje y yo le dije, yo puedo hablar. Estamos en un país libre para expresar lo que no.
They didn't come directly to me, but what my answer was, we're in a country that is free and we're able to talk and speak.
Yes, but I'm just trying to figure out, because she said that she was told that coming here would affect them getting a rental
Pero usted
provided,
dijo
essentially.
que el presentarse a estas
So I'm
juntas
just
le
wondering
afectaría.
who
¿Quién le
said
dijo
that?
eso?
Por eso muchas compañeras ya no vinieron, que porque tienen miedo. Le dije, yo no tengo miedo. Simplemente
That's a
ayer en la
terrible
noche me
thing for
dijo
someone
una.
to tell you. I just want to know who said that.
That's why a lot of people didn't show up today, because we are all fearful that something will happen if we show up. Eso es terrible que le hayan dicho eso. No
Sí,
puedo creer que lo hayan
Why,
dicho.
why
Sí.
would you think that?
Y le
That's a
dije, no,
terrible thing to feel.
Yo no tengo miedo.
I'm not fearful.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
afraid.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was confused. I just wrote that down, so I was
Es que yo
trying to get
escribí que usted
clarification
tenía
on that.
miedo.
No.
I'm not afraid.
Yo no tengo miedo.
I'm not
Okay.
afraid.
Porque
Well,
estamos en
good,
un
because I
país.
don't think you should. I mean, you definitely
No
have the
debe
right
de
to,
tener miedo.
to have your voice heard. That's important.
Usted tiene el derecho de que le
Sí.
escuchen.
Y por
Okay.
eso muchas de las vecinos ya no vinieron.
But this is why a lot of the neighbors didn't show up today, because they're afraid.
¿Se ha fijado que ya es menos los que venimos?
You can see the group has gotten smaller.
Well, I'm wondering, what is it that has made you afraid? Has someone said something to you? Has someone threatened you? Why is that?
Pero ¿qué es lo que les ha causado miedo? ¿Alguien los provocó? ¿Alguien los
A mí
amenazó?
nomás me fueron y me dijeron, y yo les dije y les he dicho, yo no tengo miedo, yo me voy hasta donde sea, pero voy a hablar.
I was just told, and I said, you know what? I'm not afraid. I'm going to speak up and I'm going to show up.
Yes, told by whom?
Pero
That's what
¿quién
I'm
les
trying to
dijo
figure
eso?
out. Yes,
¿A usted quién le dijo
A
eso?
mí me dijo
¿Vecinos?
mi vecina.
My neighbor
Y
said
me
that
fue a
to
decir
me.
a mi apartamento.
I was told right there at my apartment by my neighbor.
Y yo le dije, yo me voy hasta Sacramento y ya está.
And I said I'd go to Sacramento
Washington,
or
D.C.,
Washington,
pero
D.C.
me tienen que
but
escuchar.
somebody has to hear us.
Porque
Well,
no nomás soy yo,
Because
somos
it's
muchos.
not me only, it's a bunch of people.
So who said that to your neighbor? I'm trying to find out so I
De
can
que
hold
le
someone
diga
accountable.
quién se lo dijo a su vecina.
A mí me lo dijo Alicia Romero.
Alicia Romero, that's the lady that
Y
told
ahora
me.
ella no vino.
And now she
Does
didn't
she
show
work
up.
does she work for National Corps?
Ella trabaja para National
No,
Corps?
ella es mi vecina también.
No, she is my neighbor as well.
Okay, so she's one of your neighbors. This is the problem with listening to, I would consider it, if someone from National Corps did not say that to you, I would consider it to be gossip. I don't
Si
know
alguien
how
de
you translate
National
that.
no se lo hubiera dicho usted, se lo hubiera dicho usted, entonces se considera chisme.
Sí, ajá. Pero como muchas personas que ya no vinieron por el miedo, pues yo pienso que a lo mejor ellas tienen miedo, por eso ya no quisieron venir.
Well, the fact is that, a lot of people didn't show up today. So, because of fear.
Okay, so I have a question. Tomorrow night, is there a meeting that National Corps is going to host?
Mañana tiene una junta
Sí,
con National Meeting. Ellos van a ser los anfitriones.
Sí, ajá.
Yes.
Are you going to show up to that?
¿Va usted a
Sí,
presentarse?
sí.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, it's because I think that's important to, do you know what time that is?
¿Usted sabe a qué hora es la junta?
A las 6.
It's at 6.
6 o'clock, okay. I think that I'm going to try to show up to that tomorrow night.
Voy a tratar
So
de
that I
estar
can
presente
be a
ahí
witness as
Okay.
to what's
para que yo
happening.
también la pueda escuchar.
Ok, se los agradezco.
I would be very grateful if
Okay.
you do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Ajá, sí.
All
Ok,
right,
muchas
so
gracias.
I don't want you to feel threatened. I don't want you to feel scared. I don't want you to feel like anything is happening because I think there's some miscommunication, and I'm sorry for that. I don't know who's saying these things.
Yo creo que hay una mala comunicación.
Puede
No sé
ser.
quién está
Oh.
diciendo esas cosas, pero yo no quiero que
Sí.
tenga miedo ni estén
No,
asustados.
yo no tengo miedo. Yo me
Not
voy a
me.
donde sea.
I'm not afraid and I will go wherever
Well, I
I have
like
to
your
go.
bravery.
Porque
Me
siempre,
gusta que es valiente.
siempre tiene que haber alguien que pase más adelante. Porque si estamos con el miedo, no vamos a llegar a ningún lado.
Because there's somebody that has to go ahead of everybody. Because if we continue to be afraid, we're not going to get anywhere.
Well, that's correct.
Eso
I
está
agree.
correcto.
La
Okay,
ciudad de San
all
Marcos
right.
tiene que despertar.
Mayor.
San Marcos City has to
Oh,
wake
I'm
up.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone just?
No, I have a question to staff.
Oh, you have a question of
Tiene una
staff. I'm
pregunta.
sorry. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sí, igualmente.
Antonia.
Yeah, just a quick question. This entire thing's pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. But about a month ago, when everybody came to the meeting, we had a discussion up here about having a kind of a check-in, agendized check-in item. Is that still in the plans, Michelle?
I feel like what we decided, I think there was a discussion of an agendized check-in, and I think it then evolved to making sure that Sylvia and staff were participating with National Corps, which they are. So Sylvia will be in attendance at the meeting tomorrow evening.
My concern is just to be completely transparent, yeah, it seems to me that there's communication going to the neighborhood, that the city has some resources that we're going to jump in at the last second and save the day. I don't think that we legally or financially can do that. So we need to start being more, not we necessarily, but whoever's communicating to the neighborhood that they should be coming here to ask us to save the day when it's not even possible. We need to, that communication needs to change because they're being misled. And so that's what I'm concerned about, because it's a heartbreaking issue. But if they're not getting the information that they need, they're going to wake up on April 30th and have nowhere to go. And they really need to start taking the proactive steps today to find, where they're going to end up on May 1st, because the city's not in a position to be able to save the day.
Well said. I agree. So, okay, we have some more speakers. Salvador Gomez, followed by Penny Wu. Oh, and then that's not to speak. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, the next one. Okay, those are not to
Sí,
speak.
claro.
Gotcha.
Voy a ser breve. Buenas noches, señor alcalde y señores del consejo.
Good evening, everybody.
Mi nombre es Salvador Gómez y soy residente de Villa Serena por 12 años aproximadamente.
I am Salvador Gomez, and I'm a resident of Villa Serena for about 12 years already.
Pues mi preocupación por la que estoy ahora esta noche acá es por la misma que tienen mis vecinos, que el tiempo se los está cortando, como dijo mi vecina que pues se fue informada, lo fue informado.
So my concern is, and our concern actually is of all our neighbors, is that we're running out of time. And the time is just, passing on and nothing's happening.
Se lo fue informado en enero, se los dieron esos 4 meses.
They gave us those 4 months since January.
Sí, en enero, para los 4 meses, para primero de mayo son los 4 meses.
That would be like the 1st of May.
Pues se los informó que sí íbamos a ser desalojados y el documento decía que íbamos a ser relocados en otro lugar. Pues se me hizo bonito lo que yo, bueno, pues es necesario que ya estemos actualizados y estos apartamentos ya son viejitos.
The document actually read that we would be moved out and relocated, and I thought, for a while, well, it would be a nice thing because basically the building has gone amok.
Pues se me hizo bueno eso, la actitud, la acción de que va a tomar para ser renovados el edificio. Y pues fuimos a la primera junta y los dijo de que se los prometió que los iban a ayudar para ser relocados. Y eso no se ha visto hasta este momento.
I thought it was a very good idea that the building would be rebuilt or refurbished, but to this day we haven't seen the efforts to relocate us at all.
Para mí es un poco preocupante porque pues pueden ver, pues ya tengo mis años encima, ya pues voy a tener 60 años y pues me da miedo irme a la calle también, porque pues sí tengo trabajo, gracias a Dios, pero pues si estoy viviendo en esos apartamentos de bajos recursos es porque pues no soy rico con lo que yo gano.
It's concerning to me because, I'm aging, I'm 60, I'm very, very grateful that I do have a job and all that, but I'm very fearful also to go and have to live out in the streets. And it's very concerning.
Y pues planteé esta situación, mi preocupación se la platiqué al señor Chris y me dijo pues sígale buscando por su propia cuenta y si nosotros podemos reubicarlo, lo vamos a poder reubicar. Aunque usted firmó que no tiene beneficios de ser reubicado. Entonces, esa palabra me sonó muy fuerte porque la verdad, pues cuando están diciendo, bueno, sí.
So I did speak to Chris, and he said that, everything sounded great with the relocation, but when I spoke to him, he said that I didn't have anything to, be relocated with. I didn't really have a right to have that. So when I heard that, I really got frightened and concerned.
Y esa misma palabra que él me dijo que yo no califico para recibir el beneficio de ser reubicado en otra vivienda.
And those words of not having the benefit of being relocated in another, place to live.
Se me fue notificado el día de ayer. Recibí una llamada por el personal de National Core diciéndome, para preguntarme que si yo ya tengo un lugar donde yo me voy a ir, porque yo estoy consciente que para el día primero no voy a estar más tiempo en ese lugar.
I was notified yesterday via a letter by National Core.
No, fue una llamada.
Oh, it was a phone call that, that I don't have the benefit of being moved out of there or relocated. So, it's May the 1st, and I have nowhere to go. They asked me if I had a place to go, and I said, no, I don't have a place to go. I can't find anything.
Y la respuesta de la persona que me llamó fue diciéndome que le siga buscando, pero que no me preocupe, que el día primero, pues ellos me van a poner en un hotel, que no es la mejor solución para mí.
And the answer of the caller said, well, don't worry, we'll try to get you in a hotel and put you there for a while. And the thing is that, that's not the best for me, really.
Me dio una lista el señor Chris de personas de 55 años mayores.
Chris gave me a list of places for 55 and over.
Pero acá en el área de Escondido, San Marcos y Vista, no hay para mí, solamente que la compre, que la financie yo la casa.
So San Marcos, Vista, and Escondido do not have properties such that I could buy, because that's what they request, that I purchase one of those units. I don't have the money.
Podría agarrar ese beneficio de los 55, pero no hay. Me manda para San Diego y pues hace 15 años yo me vine de San Diego por lo mismo, porque está muy saturado de personas, el tráfico.
There would be a possibility for 55 and over in San Diego, but I left San Diego with the reason that I didn't want to be there anymore since it's so overcrowded and traffic and all that, so I moved over here.
y no me gustaría regresar de regreso donde yo ya estuve un tiempo, ya conozco y ya me adapté en esta.
I wouldn't want to go back. I mean, I already know the area where I live. I like living here.
Trabajo aquí, tengo
I
mi
work
familia
here.
aquí.
I have my family here.
Y pues estoy en espera de que ellos pues me cumplan con lo que ellos han prometido de reubicarlo, pero el tiempo ya es muy corto, primero eran 4 meses, después fueron 90 días, ahora pues ya estamos hablando de 60 días, porque este mes ya se terminó.
But the thing is that, time is running out, and first it was the 90 days, and it was the 60 days, and now, I mean, we're running out of time, and do I have hope of being relocated?
Y pues entiendo, se han ido algunas
I'm
familias.
sorry, could I jump in for 1 second? We could stop the clock, please. You were given notice on January 1st for May 1st?
Se le dio
that-
orden a usted en enero primero.
Or were you not, or was it
¿Cuándo
February
se fue?
1st?
¿En febrero primero o en enero? ¿Cuándo se le dio la orden?
Cuando tuvimos la junta fue el 28 de diciembre, ahí que se los notificó verbalmente, pero
It was the 28th of December that we were notified verbally.
sí. Después, en enero, llegó la notificación por escrita, donde se los informaba de los 120 días, creo que son.
Then we received a written notice that we would have, I think, 120 days.
Donde se los informaba que para el día primero, si no los movíamos, iban a tomar acción legal con
And that if we
nosotros.
didn't move on the 1st, they would take legal action against us.
Okay, I was just confused because I heard 90 and then I heard 60 and then I was thinking, when did you get notice? Because I was confused about that. So, sorry, I was just trying to write down some notes, okay. I just don't want to have it confused, sorry.
Me quiero confundir, por
Sí.
eso le estoy aclarando.
Entiendo, yo también, pues me confundo porque son 120 y 90 días, 120 son 4 meses y 90 son 3 meses, pero han ido notificando ahorita cada mes lo están haciendo.
I get it, because we started with 120 days, and it was 90, then this
Yeah,
and
I-
that, and
yeah.
now they're notifying us consistently.
Got you, okay. Sorry, I was confused.
Fue mucho que me confundí.
Sí, no.
No, don't worry.
Tal vez fue mi culpa.
It's probably my fault as well.
Lo siento.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
so sorry.
No, don't be sorry, it's fine.
Pues esa es la preocupación que tengo, como lo mismo de mis vecinos, y pues yo pues les agradezco por escucharlos a nosotros. Tal vez no está al alcance de ustedes de mover el programa como lo deben de mover los de National Core, pero pues gracias por escucharlos y eso es una ayuda que yo siento que descansa, me pongo en paz.
So thank you very much for at least listening to us, because it kind of gives me a sense of peace. Like I said, I'm not here just for myself, I'm here for my neighbors. And I hope that, maybe you can't help us, but maybe there is something that can be done with this situation, because we're all very concerned.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
Gracias.
I do have a quick question for staff. I'm a little confused, and maybe I could just get some clarification. On a relocation, do we, when that is turned in, the relocation, does it say specifically that they're assisting, or does it say that they're taking control and they're moving them and they're doing everything? Like, I'm not sure what that looks like. Sorry to put you on the spot. As I'm listening to this, it's occurring to me, I don't even know the answer to that question.
Providing assistance.
Providing assistance, okay. So there is some responsibility on the folks. Okay, so then the relocation, does it say that they have to be relocated to the same exact city? Because sometimes I guess that would not be possible, being that there's no really control over what's happening in the market, right?
I'd have to look at the plan specifically. I don't believe it states that it is the same city, but I couldn't answer with certainty.
Okay. I think that we should probably get a copy of that, because I've heard questions I honestly don't know the answer to. So, and we want to be responsive, of course, though, again, we're not in control of the actual process because we are facilitating the discussions and we're not really part of the actual outcome or the actual relocation. So, but I would like to have a copy just for myself, and I would assume that the rest of the council would probably want that as well. So if we could be provided that, that would be great.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it's not that we're party of the contract, it's that we just want to know because people are bringing up questions. We want to be able to help them as much as possible. Okay, yes.
I would just like to say, Mayor,
Yeah.
that I have a real concern that the very entity that is trying to provide affordable housing for these residents are now placing themselves in the position to create unhoused families in the effort to make the renovation, and it just seems very counterintuitive for them to be doing that. And I know it's not our position and our place to force an issue with them, but the documentation would be very interesting to see, and the conditions for any funds that the city might have provided. I think it's just a little bit ridiculous, and I would really like to hear more from National Corps about what their absolutes are so that these residents have a clear understanding of where they are, because a lot of them seem to be left out in the dark, and it's not right.
Well, and council member, one thing I would like to say about that is that I happen to know that many of the units, not all of the units, and I can't speak for everyone this evening because I don't know their actual circumstances, but some of the units they rented knowing that it was going to be a short term, and the problem with that is, do they leave them vacant so that they don't have a situation where people are going to be displaced at some point in time? And I would have originally said, no, absolutely. If you get a discounted rent, we should house as many people as possible. But if you run into the situation now where folks are not feeling like they understood that they were now having to leave at some point in time because the tax credits come in, I don't know. Are they federal or state tax credits? Because it's not a lender, it's not an actual lender, it's an institution, it's not like a bank. It's like a very finite amount of time. It's a very prescriptive timeline. Is it state or federal? I'm sorry? State of California. So like the actual developer, they apply for the tax credits, correct me if I'm wrong, and then they're given a timeline, and they don't get to change that timeline because it's very prescriptive and they're very, it's just a certain amount of time. We have no say over it, they have no say over it. Am I right in that? Okay, I thought so. Anyway,
One other question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the previous speaker had mentioned that National Corps is not providing the $5,000 relocation assistance.
It's not, I read that it is absolutely not a relocation assistance. It is I don't even know what they're calling it, but it's not relocation assistance. I can't recall where I saw it. Oh, wait, maybe it's in my little laminated note. I'm sorry, because it is here this evening.
The $5,000 is being provided to those residents who don't technically qualify for relocation assistance.
Got it.
So they're residents that, under the law, are not qualified for relocation assistance. However, National Corps is providing $5,000. It is our understanding that that is for all the residents, so I'm not sure where the confusion was.
Yeah, I don't think there was a confusion as to the $5,000. It was when the residents were going to receive the $5,000. I would think if you're going to try to be as helpful as possible, that you would give the $5,000 to the residents in enough time so they can use it for, a down payment or something along those lines versus giving it to them on the day that they leave, because then they don't have the economic, help to be able to find wherever they're going to land next.
Oh.
Staff will follow up.
Is
to
there a
clarify
council
that.
desire to have this as an agendized item so you could actually discuss it under the Brown Act?
I had previously requested that we agendize an item, and I didn't receive any support from this body. But I myself have many questions, and I think this merits a public hearing and a public discussion so that we can get answers. I don't think we should be guessing as to what the responsibilities are.
It's not
and
the
I think
only
we're running out of
alternative.
time.
It's not the only alternative, but the discussion has gone on a non-agendized item, so it's got to be either referred to staff and hopefully with specific direction, or agendized, or.
So just speaking for myself personally, on one hand, I think it would be helpful, but on the other hand, we are literally not even party of an actual agreement, which puts us in a really weird position of, okay, so now we're having questions and answers. I don't even know what are, like, I don't know, Madam Peak. This is a very tricky situation, I think, on one hand, because we're not making a decision. We cannot make a decision. We are literally hearing information, but we do want to be responsive to our residents. However, we're not even a party. It's like if you had, I'm just going to throw out an example and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. If there is a private property owner that owns an apartment building, we don't get involved in the discussion between the tenants and the apartment owner. But I kind of feel like that's where we're at right now, of we're saying, okay, we want answers for a private property owner when we are not a party of their rental agreements. Am I explaining that right, or am I totally off, Mrs. Peak?
No, I do think there is the potential for questions about the relocation plan, but which I'm not sure is actually approved by the state. It may be through their financing process, but that is part of the packet that the city has received. There are, state requirements for relocation assistance, and those could be addressed by staff and information provided to the council, and that is one way to address it. You can refer questions back to National Corps, but that doesn't seem to have been very helpful to the residents thus far. So it's, it is up to the council. It's just time to decide what it is that you'd like to do and how you'd like to approach it.
All right, well, let's go down the line then.
Which way do you suggest?
Yeah.
It really isn't, it isn't specifically something that the city is a party to.
Right.
But it is also something where, the city is a lender to the project. So there.
But not the relocation benefits.
Not the relocation,
Okay.
although,
All right,
at some point, some financing is probably in that mix somewhere. But the city is a lender to the project, so there's putatively a connection there. It is not a direct connection to the relocation issue. So it is not, I don't know how helpful it is for the residents if you can't actually affect the outcome.
Which I think we can't, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. Like, we have no effect on the actual outcome of what happens here with this relocation. Is that correct or incorrect?
I think the city, what the residents are hoping is that the city would bring some influence to bear. But as far as a direct connection, I'm not aware of a direct connection. The city has a housing council. That person would have a much better idea. We could certainly solicit his opinion about whether we have a direct line on the relocation issues. The California relocation law is fairly long-standing. It's periodically updated, but the requirements are fairly clear. It would, you would hope National Corps is following those requirements. So.
Well, and how do we know that? Do we know that they're following the housing
We are not
requirements?
monitoring.
Okay.
I am not monitoring. I don't believe the city is specifically monitoring relocation activities. You're simply receiving the complaints of the residents who feel that they've been wronged.
Right, and who is the governing body then of the relocation? Because I think that would be an important part of this whole conversation of whether we agendize something. Is it the county? Is it the state? I actually happen to be on the Successor Housing Agency, ROPS.
You're on the county oversight board.
Correct, yeah, the oversight board. I don't think this would fall under that.
No, it would not.
But
they oversee the dissolution of redevelopment.
Correct, right.
Which is one of the reasons we're here, but it is the oversight board for the dissolution of redevelopment. No direct connection, as far as I know, to relocation activities.
So do we know who
I specifically would want to get clarification, then what is it that we approved as a body when we approved a relocation plan? Then I would need clarification on what that means.
The documents can all be provided to you. absolutely.
Well, and it followed the state law, like whatever we actually approved or was given to us, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it followed state law. We don't decide a different process. The process follows the state process. And they would have to turn in the relocation in order to receive the tax credits, correct? Yes. So the funding that was provided by the state then went through recently. When was that they actually received those tax credits? I think it was the last quarter of last year.
It was back.
In the fall?
In December.
In December. Okay, so again, it was reviewed, Councilmember Nunez, in December by the state when they approved it and actually rendered that the tax credits. So see, that's why I was wondering when everyone was given notice and there was a discussion that it was originally brought up verbally in December, which is right after they received the tax credits. It's a very short time frame, and then that money expires. So in order to get an actual good project, and I talk about this all the time, the state has all these laws and rules and regulations that literally conflict with one another. Trying to provide affordable housing, you're on a very tight time frame, and to be able to actually rebuild and redevelop something, you've got to, there's no way to actually know when you're going to get the tax credits and then when that relocation plan will have to start. So anyway, I wanted to clarify that. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I was just going to ask Council, so it seems to me this wouldn't be an item that would be coming to us for specific action when we have this discussion.
That's correct.
So I'm not sure a public hearing quite fits this situation. Could it maybe be a community workshop?
Well,
agendized community workshop?
What the
or-
council had requested was that National Corps hold those meetings, and
Yes.
they are holding those meetings,
Right.
but apparently not to the satisfaction of all the participants. So, especially if they're being canceled. So, I think, staff could provide information that relates to relocation-related documentation that's part of the packet that the council did actually approve. Not that it has necessarily subject matter jurisdiction over relocation per se, but was that a relocation plan part of the packet? What is that plan, and a summary of it, so that you at least have information. I am not aware at this time of any particular action that you can take with
Right.
respect to relocation. So-
Right, which is why I was suggesting maybe if there is a desire to have the proper public discussion, could it be a workshop if everybody, because I don't see us taking action, specific action.
It is up to the council. It is, I don't know that, I don't know what would be the most helpful to the residents, because I don't know what would actually build expectation that you could do something potentially.
So what about if maybe you and staff work together to figure out what that best form of discussion would be? And
Well, as I suggested, I think staff can compile information for you so that you are more conversant with the relocation issue and what it is that has been approved as far as a relocation plan that is part of the Villa Serena project.
So I have a thought that I'd like to run past you. Tomorrow night, Sylvia, is the only meeting happening tomorrow night, or so I looked on my little sheet here that's laminated. It says February 28th from 6 to 8. So that's tomorrow. You're going to that, and I'm going to do my best to also be there. That meeting is, you're going to be there, and National Corps is running it. So you'll be there to observe. My suggestion would be that the entire council be provided the actual relocation plan so that we could all look through it. Then by next week, we could make a decision, and I'd like to be satisfied that yes, the meeting happened, and yes, we have facilitated the meeting to actually happen. Being that we're not an actual party to this,
but I want to know that it actually happened and people have showed up. And one of our speakers, she said she's been having I think it's, Antonia Montoya. She had said that she had a hard time meeting up with them. You're going to be there, so if you are able to make sure that the meeting has happened, and I would implore everyone that's here this evening, be at that meeting tomorrow from 6 until 8. It's going to happen, and it is not a full relocation, it is assistance. So there is some responsibility on you, so you need to show up to that meeting because it's very important. But you're going to be there, Sylvia. I'd like to get, let's see, tomorrow's Wednesday, in our newsletter on Friday, that we get a report back letting us know that actually happened and get an update on it. And, again, I think we could figure out if we're going to agendize that by next week. So we just need to know by what, Thursday, Phil? If it's going to be a workshop sort of thing. And I don't know. I mean, what does everyone else think about that idea?
I have specific questions that I have for National Core. So
I had suggested you show up tomorrow night too.
Right,
I mean,
so how do we avoid potential Brown Act violations?
You are welcome to contact National Core directly and ask those questions.
I think you should have a meeting with them,
That's not a Brown Act
Councilmember.
violation.
So what I'm specifically asking is for a public meeting so that all our residents have the opportunity to listen to my questions and obviously hear the answers. And I think that's something that as a body we can accomplish.
Well, that's happening tomorrow night, Councilmember. Are you going to show up?
And the request could also be made of National Core to hold such a meeting as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of.
They don't operate on an agendized
Right.
requirement, Brown Act requirement, so they can hold those meetings whenever they want to. So they could facilitate a meeting as between you and the residents and answer questions if they were so inclined.
Well, there is already a meeting tomorrow night. I suggest you show up to that and have all of your questions answered in it's a public forum, and they've
And
already.
count to 3.
It's already happening.
So is that true, Helen? Is tomorrow's meeting a public meeting?
I didn't call that meeting, National Core did. They can answer that question. I believe that they called it as an open forum, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, okay,
Can we get
wait.
clarification on that? Because I don't believe that's the case.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. What do you mean by a public meeting?
Can anybody show up to this meeting where very sensitive, private conversations might be happening with the residents?
Are you saying as opposed to residents only?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, okay, I'm confused because I thought you were trying to get a forum where the residents could have their questions answered.
I think that would be two
Yeah.
different meetings.
Yeah, I don't know,
I believe so too.
Tomorrow's a dialogue between the residents and National Core. We're talking, on a grander scope where any member of the public can come in, hear it, and weigh in with their own thoughts.
I'm not
and opinions.
understanding what the end goal would be for that.
Well, I think one of the.
It's a private contract, like, I don't
Right, one of the
understand that.
concerns I have is, as we get further into this as a body, we have no leverage over the process, we have no leverage over the outcome, and there would tend to be a reliance, because we are a governing body, the residents would then tend to rely on us to have final solution to this where we don't have that legal authority. It is a contractual basis, and as unfortunate as it is one that will ultimately be resolved between the residents and National Core.
And my concern is that on April 30th, we're going to be faced with potentially having 54 residents in Villa Serena with no place to go, and this is going to jeopardize the entire project. And I think as a city, it would be a terrible situation to be in.
But we really, I don't think we have any authority over it. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we've talked this around 1,000 times, but Mrs. Peak, the tax credits expire when they expire. They have only a certain amount of time to actually build and use that money, and it's very prescriptive from what
It's my understanding they can reapply, but.
Well, okay, but
There's a timeframe.
reapply could be 3, 5, 10 years down the road. I mean, how long have they even been in line? Because I want to say it's been.
Over a decade.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I've been around, I think, the whole time. I think it's been since 2013, right? 11 years they've been waiting for these tax credits. 11 years. I mean, I've heard people say in the audience that it's not even like there are issues with the actual buildings. I'm not comfortable with them losing that funding and us trying to stall and delay. And I really am not sure at the end of the day what I want to understand, council member, what goal are you trying to accomplish? Because I want to help you. I'm not understanding what it is you're trying to get at.
So are there any possibilities for us to have a conversation with National Corps as far as what we can do to help the residents secure housing so that at the end of April, we don't have 54 residents at Villa Serena, and it prevents National Corps from demolishing this building that we've been waiting for so long to demolish?
So what do you think we could do as a city to actually do that?
I think that's why we have experts that do this for a living.
So
what are the possibilities? What are we doing? When I look at our update, and I don't see any identified specifics, that what's happening, what's taking place, what are the steps that National Corps or our residents are being asked to do so that they are not going to be at the end of the month in April in their units, so that they have housing.
Can we just find out if the meeting tomorrow night is for residents only and is considered more of a private resident to National Corps meeting?
But that's who the contract is between.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry.
Can we find out whether National Corps would agree to do another meeting that would allow people, so that we don't continue to discuss this issue that is not on the agenda?
And Madam Peak, we just got confirmation from National Corps that the council and the public are welcome to attend tomorrow's evening's meeting.
We've talked about this, but it doesn't specify where the meeting is.
But
Is
we
it at
can't
their-
have more than 2 people attend.
We can have it. We
More
just
than
can't.
two council members.
We can certainly listen and ask questions individually. We just can't discuss it amongst ourselves if we intend to agenda it.
It's not a subject matter within the subject matter jurisdiction specifically, but these folks are under the impression that it is. It could be potentially noticed as a special meeting, but I would suggest that no more than 2 attend.
Sylvia, where's the meeting? Do you know? If you know. Okay, in their community room? Okay, thank you.
Well, Councilmember Nunez wants to show up and ask questions, so I suggest we would allow that, being that that is her district, and being that, sorry, it's my district too, because I'm citywide.
I agree.
I think that the 2 of us have to show up to that. I will probably be taping that because I want to make sure that everything's caught on the record. I for one, I want to see what happens tomorrow night. I'm glad that they have responded, and thank you for doing that, Michelle. I'm very uncomfortable of where this is kind of going, being that we're not part of this, and I don't want people to think that we actually can make a decision to we don't have any funding for this. We don't. That's why I'm trying to figure out, Councilmember, what you're actually looking to accomplish, because we don't have funding. We are trying to facilitate meetings, which there will be one that happens tomorrow night, which I believe you will be attending and I'll be attending. We'll both be there to witness what happens at that meeting. I guess I'm unsure as to what it is because this has been going on for a while. There is some responsibility on both parties of the contract, being the residents and then also Villa Serena National Corps of relocation. So I just want to ask one more time, what exactly are you hoping to accomplish on the city's half when we're not part of the contract, not part of the actual contract?
So one of the items that's not clear to me is, as a lender, right, as a body that has contributed millions of dollars to this project, what is our obligation specifically? So that's not clear to me, because it seems to me that if we don't help these residents find their housing before May 1st, I think it's going to put us in a very difficult predicament if this construction is not able to move forward.
It has to move forward. I mean, that's the part that we all know it has to move forward. They're going to lose the money, and then we could be another 11 years before it gets torn down, and it will be uninhabitable in that time.
Right.
So everyone that literally could live there, which, how many units is it, Sylvia, total?
54.
54 total? So 54 families will be displaced if this does not get rebuilt. 54 families will not be able to live there for God knows how long. It could be another 11 years.
And I don't believe that if these units are occupied in May, we're not going to have the ability to demolish this building.
So why would you think that would happen? I guess that's my question. Why do you think that would happen?
Because what we've been hearing is that we have, at least the last status report that I saw says that there are 54 units that are still occupied. So we have potentially 54 families without a place to go. So why would they leave their home on May 1st if they don't have anywhere to go?
So I'm gonna make a suggestion. Both of you are gonna go tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And then maybe both of you talk to the city manager, and I'm sure she'll talk to Helen. Maybe the workshop is the way to go. So everybody, you guys figure out what, but
Yeah, I don't know that the workshop is what I would recommend personally, but,
so
and it
whatever-
really is up to the city council, because I don't sua sponte necessarily place these kinds of things on the agenda. I think the relocation plan and the underlying transactional documents can be provided to Councilmember Nunez and any other council member who would like to have a copy. You can draw your own conclusions. We can also ask the special counsel to
Okay.
come up with some kind of a summary of what what, if anything, the city has either the ability or the obligation to affect, and that's all I can suggest.
Okay, all right, that being said, what I would like to do, and there are a few more speakers, just so everyone knows, I would like to get our special counsel, I'd like to direct that our special counsel look at the relocation, figure out what our responsibility is and our obligations as a lender to the project as a whole, and as such, what control do we have over the process when, I mean, we don't have money to put into this project, it's not like that. But what I guess my point is, what as a city can we affect change in this? Because in my opinion, I mean, we could have a workshop on, every single day, but if we don't have any authority and we can't make any change, I'm not sure why we would do that. I don't understand what that point would be. So tomorrow night, National Corps is going to be there. You and I are going to be there, council member. How long do you think it take to get an answer from our special counsel on this? Okay.
That answer would be attorney-client privilege as well. So,
Okay, all right.
Sylvia, do you have any better idea than I might have about what Walter might be able to do in terms of a turnaround?
We can ask him to rush this
Okay.
for council priority.
Yeah.
We could probably get this back by next week, early next week, do you think?
But anybody who wants to see the relocation plan, that can be provided
I
pretty
think we should
quickly.
have that available. In fact, electronically, well, why can't we just have that available for tomorrow night and make sure that it's at the National Corps meeting? So you'll be there, Sylvia, too, if you could bring that.
Yes, the relocation plan can be sent out again, so we'll make sure that council gets a copy of that first thing tomorrow. And then I don't want to commit for Mr. Spath
yeah.
publicly,
Yeah.
but we will definitely expedite as a council priority.
Okay, and then could we have 54 copies tomorrow night available?
54 copies of the relocation plan?
Yes, yes.
Do you want
Yes,
them
we
in
will.
Spanish or English?
We will make things happen tomorrow
In
morning.
Spanish. And, well, I guess maybe not all Spanish. I guess, I don't know.
It'd have to
I
be
can't even guess.
translated.
I think there'd have to, oh, maybe we can't get that
Yeah.
translated.
That would be tight for tomorrow, I think. How big is it?
Is it electronically available, which allows the Google Translate for anybody who pulls it up electronically?
Sorry, we're just trying to figure this out up here. It doesn't normally go like this, and
While you're
How
considering.
about this? Why don't, instead of rushing to commitments at the dais, perhaps if I could email council early tomorrow morning with an update on how and what might be the most appropriate way to share the relocation plan, just so that you're all have the right information before we go to that meeting tomorrow evening.
Okay, all right.
Understanding the goal, we'll
Yeah.
try to accomplish what we can.
Okay.
I want to ask Councilmember Nunez real quickly, when you were asking questions about what happens on April 30th, were you considering that on May 1st, that National Corps would then start the eviction process on those parties so that they could remain in compliance with the agreements that they have in place? Is that where we're going with the discussion?
Correct.
Okay.
And just knowing what that process looks like here in San Diego County and any potential backlogs, that could possibly take months.
Yeah.
And that has to be a consideration that's on part of the efforts that they're making or lack thereof in helping to make sure that these residents find alternate housing.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few more speakers. Let me find my notes and figure out what's what. Secretary already spoke. Next up is Penny Wu, followed by Cesar Salgado. What? Who's coming? There you are. You're next, Cesar, after Penny. Hi, Penny.
Hello. I don't know, after all this discussion, I'm almost no pointless to come up here. But anyways, my name is Penny Wu. I live at Village Center. I've been there about 10 years. I know you just mentioned about when you had to make an effort. I took a day off of work and applied to every single place that they gave me on the first list they gave us. I am on 6 waiting lists for low-income housing. I've been on one of National Corps' other lists for 11 years now, and I still have not received any information about moving in there. So I work a lot, so it's hard for me to be able to go and look and apply to every place. I basically work 8 to 6, maybe 8 o'clock at night. I came straight from work to come here. So it's really hard, to find a place. We look. Most of the places are outside of, that are even close to affordable or outside of San Marcos. My concern is I'm also disabled, so it's really hard for me to get everything moving, packed, and motivated, and get someone, because I'm gonna have to hire a moving company to come help me because I can't physically do it myself. I also have a senior who is in the last year of high school, and he's in the high school SEAS program, which is dedicated for social, emotional, academics for kids who have issues. So I would dislike to have to move him out because this is his last year and he's in that program. I don't know if other cities have it, or I have to find transportation for him to come here to do that program.
Can I ask you a quick question? Have you reached out to the school district to find out if they have any transportation?
So right now he's currently getting transportation from school to and from school. I don't know how far.
Sorry, could we stop the timer? Sorry, because I'm
So
asking.
I don't know how far they will stretch out the transportation for them to transport him from another city to here. I did talk to my son about it. He said that he does have a friend that lives at the very edge of San Marcos, almost in Escondido, that gets transportation. But the thing is, that's at the very edge of San Marcos. If I can't find anything in San Marcos, it means I would have to go to Vista or Escondido.
Yeah, I would just reach out to the district, only because being that he has a special need, I have to believe that there's probably, and I don't know for certain, but I believe that they might have special accommodations. I would check with them just to figure out kind of, because that would be your number one priority, to figure out where you might, like, it might be Escondido. They might say, oh, yes, if you live in Escondido, we can accommodate you because it's for 1 year or what, the rest of the school year, that sort of thing. I don't know. I would just reach out to them to find out what that answer is so that you can understand exactly where it is you could relocate based on the needs of him being your first priority. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to bring that up to you.
Yeah.
As a mom.
Yeah, so yeah, it's hard, and it's hard for him to do like a bigger change on it, so I'm worried about how it's going to affect his schooling, have to do the change this last year, because it's, because of his behaviors. He's usually he's good if he knows ahead of time, but I never know how that's going to happen. He's already stressed out about this, so his school's already told me that he's having a hard time at school, so I just don't want to make it worse. I
went to 3 high schools, I get it.
Yeah, so I want him to graduate this year instead of having to repeat another year because of all the stress he's under. And so I think most of the residents are just hoping for help or for VSR to step up and actually help them, with the relocation costs and stuff like that. I know that a lot of us want the project to continue and go because it's a good idea, but the thing is, we don't want all of us to be struggling to have a roof over our head. VSR already told us that they will help us to say that they're going to help us with hotels and stuff, but I don't actually trust them to do that because I had an issue with them a year ago, and they couldn't find a place for me because my apartment flooded. And I was displaced for almost 4 months, and they couldn't find me a hotel that I can stay in or a place I can stay in with my kid and my 2 dogs. And so I had to go ask someone else to put me in for the time being. So so when they're telling us at the end of the May, they're going to help us if we can't get a house or place, they're going to put us in hotels with a kitchenette and all this stuff, and the dogs are allowed. I've had past experience with them that they're not going to do it. So I'm kind of I'm looking, and I'm going to apply as much as I can, get as many wait lists as I can, because even with the letter you guys give us, they don't even care about that letter. You give to them, they go, oh, okay, it's good, and just here you go. They don't write your name down. They don't put you on the list. They're just okay, you're on the wait list. You're good. So I just think that there's just not enough help for us, and especially when there's not that many places for us to go. Even looking, my rent's gonna be triple by the time I find another place, and I'm barely making ends meet here at this location. So I don't know.
Okay.
So,
I'll see you tomorrow night, and
Yes.
and hopefully you have an answer on the school. I really
I'll
believe.
talk to the school more and get more information from the school.
Okay.
To see how far.
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Penny, for coming. Were you here a month ago? When we actually had this agendized?
Yeah, I was here. I just didn't. Actually, no, I wasn't here. I watched it on YouTube.
Okay. Our council says that you spoke that night, so I just wanted to make sure that we were, that I was aware that you were there, because one of the things that I said during that meeting was that you could have the best relocation plan ever, but if there's nowhere to relocate, then it doesn't matter, right? And I know that's not what you want to hear. I've been on the council for a year, maybe a little over a year. I wasn't here. Somebody else was sitting here when the relocation plan was being put together. But I just try to take a straightforward, transparent approach, and you and everybody else is asking for help, but I don't know what that help looks like. If you really simplify it, National Corps promised $5,000. They promised to assist with trying to find relocation, and they did make a commitment at the last meeting when it was agendized to provide hotel rooms for folks that they could not relocate. And so that's the promise. If you really it's a very complicated matter, but if you really just simplify it, and so beyond that promise, there's nothing else coming, and the city's not, we can't gift public funds. If you're asking us to triple the relocation amount, that's not even legal.
No, that's not what
I'm not sure.
asking
So
about.
what does help look like? So we can try to make that work for you.
I know, I'm not quite sure. I just, maybe, I know you guys can't recruit, so it's just hard for us to relocate. Like, they gave us I think we recently just got a flyer saying that there's another low-income housing opening up really soon, but it's not till fall. So there's no way for us. So anybody of us who's going to apply for that low-income housing, it's going to be stuck in another lease or another place that we have to break in order to get it if we get accepted over there. So it's just a lot of headache. I just feel like I wish that I kind of there was things that were more clear.
It's a very difficult situation because,
yes, it is.
As you acknowledged, the units need to be basically redone because they're in disrepair. And so if we stop this project from taking place, I don't even know if we legally could, but if we did, I'm just trying to be straightforward with you. The whole neighborhood will get condemned shortly, and so everybody's out. So and the developer, the affordable housing developer, would lose their tax credits and would have to reapply. And it's taken them over a decade to get to this point today, and so that clock would restart, right? And so it's not in the community's benefit to condemn this neighborhood. And there's also nowhere, as you've indicated, to relocate you. And so what they've offered is that package that I mentioned, the $5,000, some help. They're giving you all the information that they have. When you said that they're giving you, information about affordable neighborhoods that are 4 months out, that's because that's the assistance that they can provide. And so what we've heard here, probably a dozen times in the last 15, 20 minutes, is that the city is not in a position, legally or financially, to be able to even help. And so I think the message to the neighborhood is that we really need to start looking at either hotel rooms, family resources, moving in with family temporarily. Those are the types that we're a couple months away. And I just don't want you or anybody else to leave here tonight with the misunderstanding that the city's going to come in and save the day, because we just can't.
Oh, no.
And I would love to be able to, but we can't.
I knew that. I almost thought it was pointless after you said that to even come up here to talk and speak my voice. So
yeah, and I'm just speaking from the heart and trying to be transparent with you.
Well, I'm glad that you did come up and speak and just have your voice heard, because I think that's important. And even if the only thing that came out of it is that you can go to the school district and find out, or talk to the school district and find out what your son's actual transportation needs, how those could be met. That's a big part of it. He's your. I know I have 2 kids. Your babies are your number one priority, so I get that part of it. So, but I agree with you, Councilmember. It's a very difficult situation. We're doing the best that we can to help facilitate these discussions. But again, and Councilmember Nunez and I will be there tomorrow night, and we will be armed with knowing exactly what the relocation package, or what that plan looks like. I just, back to your point, Councilmember Sanella, it is just a really tough situation, because we aren't even part of the actual, plan. So anyway, but thank you for coming, and I will see you tomorrow night.
All right.
Okay?
Right.
All right. Okay, unless you had 30 seconds left. I don't know if you had anything else. Okay, thank you. And then our last speaker is Cesar. And while Cesar's coming up, I have a question. Is it possible to have our translator tomorrow night, because I don't speak Spanish, and an earpiece so that I can understand what's being said tomorrow night, so that I can make sure I hear all the voices?
Let us check with our translator with less than 24 hours notice.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's tricky, but
Yeah.
we'll certainly see what we can do. And I just emailed the council the
If I
relocation
tape,
plan.
if I tape it all, maybe I will be able to get it translated after the fact. I just won't be able to ask questions.
Yes, National Court is going to have translation services.
Okay.
The earpiece translation services, or a bilingual staff member? Do we have clarification?
Okay. Okay. Well, if we could let them know I'm going to need that, that would be great. Thank you. Okay. Hi.
Okay. Buenas noches, mi nombre es César Salgado.
Good
evening. My name is César Salgado.
Como todos los vecinos de Villa Serena, aquí estoy una vez más.
Like all the neighbors in Villa Serena, I'm here one more time.
Les agradezco porque nos han escuchado.
I am thankful because you have heard us.
Yo entiendo al Señor que dice que no nos puede ayudar, que no es problema de la ciudad.
I understand clearly that this is not a problem that belongs to the city.
Lo único que nosotros estamos pidiendo de que ustedes nos puedan decir quién nos puede ayudar si ustedes no son los indicados.
Really what we want is that maybe you are able to help us to know who can actually help us.
Porque yo soy una persona que inmigró de México.
Because I'm a migrant from Mexico.
Fue muy difícil para mí dejar mis amigos y mi familia.
It was very difficult for me to leave my family and my friends behind.
Y es la situación en la que están poniendo a mis hijas el día de hoy.
And this is the situation that my children are being placed into.
Lo único que nosotros estamos exigiendo,
What we're asking or requesting,
que cumplan su palabra,
it is that the word is kept.
porque yo sé que ellos dijeron que era un plan de reubicación.
Because I know that they said that it would be a plan of relocation.
Pero cuando nosotros tenemos las juntas con el equipo de Villa Serena,
But when we have our meetings with Villa Serena,
ellos nos aseguran que nos van a reubicar.
they basically guarantee us that they will be relocating us.
Y lo vuelvo a repetir.
And I'm repeating myself.
Es muy difícil cambiar a mis hijas de una ciudad a otra ciudad
It's very difficult for me to move my children from one city to another
porque no quiero que pasen la misma situación que yo tuve que pasar.
because I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Dejar seres queridos,
To leave their loved ones behind,
amistades.
friends,
Y otra cosa que quiero dejar en claro,
and something else that I want to leave with clarity.
la vecina que habló de que recibió un poco como de amenazas o chismes,
My neighbor that was, heard about some threats or gossip.
Chris ve los videos cuando nosotros venimos a hablar aquí con ustedes.
Chris actually is watching the videos when we come and talk with you.
Y a un par de vecinos,
And to a couple of our neighbors,
cuando ha tenido contacto con ellos,
when he's had contact with them,
él les dice, yo te vi lo que dijiste.
he tells them, I saw what you said.
Alicia Reyes, una vecina que vino la cita pasada,
Alicia Reyes, the person that showed up the last meeting,
es una señora de la tercera edad.
she's an elderly woman.
Ella me habló para comentarme
She called me to make a comment
que habló con Chris
that she had spoken with Chris.
y Chris le dijo, ¿por qué dijiste que había cucarachas en los apartamentos?
And Chris said, why did you say that there were roaches in the apartments?
Yo lo único que les pido a ustedes,
The only thing that I'm asking from you
si nos pueden ayudar,
is if you can help us,
de que esto llegue a los dueños de Villa Serena.
that this actually reaches the owners of Villa Serena.
Nos gustaría que al igual que ustedes van a participar en la junta de mañana,
We would like for them to be part of the meeting tomorrow, just as you are willing to do so,
ellos puedan escuchar nuestras voces.
so that they can hear our voices.
Yo entiendo que a lo mejor no es situación de ustedes,
I
¿verdad?
understand that this is not a matter for you,
Pero al igual que yo como los demás vecinos,
but at the same time, just like my neighbors,
no tenemos otra opción o con quién hablar.
we're left with no options of who to talk to.
Por eso nos dirigimos a
So
ustedes
this is why we came to you,
con todo el respeto que se merecen
with all the respect that is due to you.
y me gustaría
And I would like
que como padres de familia
that as parents,
se pusieran en nuestros zapatos,
you would step in our shoes.
porque yo sé que a lo mejor no es la situación que están pasando
Because I know that's not the same situation that you're going
y
through.
por eso no lo pueden entender.
And that's why sometimes you can't
Pero si
understand.
estuvieran en nuestro lugar,
But if you were in our spot,
se darían cuenta de la frustración,
you would see how frustrating it
la
is,
desesperación,
the despair that we feel.
al igual que yo.
As the same as I do,
Tengo mi niña de 6 años.
I have a child that's
Ella
6 years
escucha
old.
todo
She hears everything.
y me da tristeza de que ella se preocupa.
And I'm also sad because
Me,
she's now
pregun-
worried.
me pregunta, hey, ¿qué vamos a hacer? ¿Dónde vamos a ir a vivir?
She asks me, where is it, what's going on, where are we going to go live?
Y yo en lo personal,
And personally,
yo no les exijo que nos den dinero a Villa Serena,
I'm not asking for money for Villa Serena.
solo que nos ayuden a reubicarnos.
Just so that we have helped to relocate.
Y es todo lo que tengo que decir esta
And that's
noche.
all that I have to say tonight.
Y les agradecería
And I would be very
de todo
thankful
corazón
from the bottom of my heart
que nos puedan escuchar
that you would listen to us
y que nos puedan ayudar el día de mañana que vayan,
and that you can help us tomorrow when you show up to the meeting,
porque es el problema que hemos tenido.
because that's exactly the problem that
Cuando
we have.
vamos a los meetings
When we
con
have
el
meetings
equipo de Villa Serena,
with the team from Villa Serena,
nos dicen una cosa,
they tell us one thing,
pero después nos dicen otra.
but then they switch it to something else.
Yo la vez pasada pedí una hoja
Last time I had the meeting, I asked for a piece of paper
para Chris,
for Chris,
de que él en una hoja nos dijera que sí va a cumplir todo lo que nos están
so
diciendo.
that on a written form, he would say that he is promising and keeping the promise of all the things that they've been said.
Y lo vuelvo a repetir.
And I'm repeating it.
Yo entiendo que dicen que nos van a brindar un hotel,
I understand that they're saying that they will give us a hotel,
pero como ustedes padres de familia que lo son,
but as parents, as you are,
me gustaría que se pusieran en nuestros zapatos de cómo sería vivir en un hotel teniendo niños chicos.
I would like for you to think how it would be to live in a hotel room with
Yo sé,
children.
yo sé que no es su problema,
I know this is not your problem,
pero les pido que tengan un poco de compasión
but I'm asking for your compassion
por nosotros.
for us.
Muchas gracias por escucharnos
Thank you so much for listening to us,
y espero que mañana nos puedan apoyar.
and I hope that tomorrow you will support us.
I have a couple of questions.
Tengo un par de preguntas.
So you're asking for our compassion and our help, but what does that look like? Back to what Councilmember Sanella had said, what exactly are you looking for?
Exactamente estás buscando.
Que tengan compasión a que nos puedan ayudar a que nos reubiquen.
That you have compassion so that you can help us to relocate.
Compasión por las
Physically,
personas de la tercera edad.
Compassion for the elderly.
Okay,
Mother-
so wait, help you relocate. So tell me what you envision that as, or what you see that as.
Cuando usted habla de relocalizarlos, ¿cuál es la visión de eso? ¿Cómo lo ve?
Que ellos nos puedan recomendar a lugares de bajos recursos, igual donde vivimos,
So that you can refer us maybe to a low-income place like we live,
porque ellos nos dicen que podemos brincar las listas de esperas,
because they tell us that we can jump those waiting lists.
pero cuando vamos no nos aceptan.
But when we go, they don't accept us.
Okay, so I have a question. Okay, I'm just going to use a round number.
Tengo una pregunta.
So let's say there are 100 units that are in any affordable housing development, or let's just say 1,000, because
Digamos
that's
que
more
hay
likely.
1000 viviendas
If no one
disponibles en
moves,
cualquier lado.
if no one moves, then there are no available units.
Si nadie se muda, entonces no hay unidades disponibles.
Ok, yo entiendo esa parte
I get it,
y por eso mismo
and that is why
les pedimos su ayuda,
we're here to ask for help,
porque ellos nos han dicho que nos van a reubicar.
because they have told us that they will relocate
Y
us.
yo esa misma pregunta se le hice a Chris.
But that's the same question that I asked Chris.
¿De qué sirve que me des una lista para que yo pueda brincar a las listas de espera si no hay nada disponible?
And I said, you know, what good does it do that you give us a list, but there's nothing available? Every time we go, there's nothing.
So what would you like me to do about that?
¿Qué te gustaría que yo hiciera en cuanto a eso?
Como usted dijo que mañana van a ir a ser partícipes de esa reunión,
Like you said that you're going tomorrow to the meeting.
I am. I'm canceling my plans that I already had. I
Se lo
just
agradezco.
decided this evening.
I'm so grateful to you.
Yeah, I want to be there for
y
you.
me gustaría que ustedes, al igual que nosotros, tomen nota para que ojalá y que así sí nos puedan cumplir.
And I would like for you to be there because that way you get to see what is going on and that maybe you will be able to help us somehow.
Yo entiendo todo lo que me dicen, que pues no hay disponibles y todo eso, que es un proceso muy fuerte, ¿verdad?
I understand that, you know, there's no availability. I know that the process is quite difficult.
Pero pienso que si ellos ya tenían un plan de remodelación de un edificio, pienso que con más tiempo hubieran reubicado gente.
But one would think that they are, you know, if they're building or they're destroying a building and rebuilding, that they would have a plan to relocate people way in advance.
Entonces,
So they received the funding the end of December.
Es que el problema es que se recibió los fondos de impuestos en diciembre.
okay.
They let you know right away.
Les dejan, les informan inmediatamente.
And so I guess my point is, it's a very tough situation. If there are no rental properties available, what are the options? I guess that would be something I would want everyone to think about. What would the options possibly be?
Y precisamente ese es mi punto, porque las fechas son muy cortas. Entonces, esa es la pregunta. ¿Cómo es la manera de hacerlo si no hay vivienda disponible?
Eso siempre se lo hemos dicho a Chris y él dice que no nos preocupemos, que van a tratar de reubicarnos, pero ya pasaron 2 meses y no vemos nada de resultado.
Well, that's something that we tell Chris all the time, but he says, you know, you don't worry, we're going to relocate it, but it's 2 months already that have gone by and we see nothing.
Yo entiendo que pues, no está en las manos de usted,
I get it that it's not in your hands.
pero sí nos gustaría que fuera para escuchar lo que ellos dicen.
But I'm glad that you're going because you will hear what they're saying.
Yeah, and well, I guess I just want a realistic expectation of, I mean, if it were me, and my family's been in this situation, not me personally as a mom, but as a kid of a mom that had to move a lot.
Quiero realmente una expectativa realista. Yo no he estado en esta misma situación, pero al mismo tiempo sí, porque hemos tenido que mudarnos muchas veces de chicos.
If it wasn't for my grandfather, we would have been homeless too.
Si no hubiera sido por mi abuelo, también hubiéramos estado en la calle.
So we had family that helped us, and I guess what I'm asking is sometimes you might have to live with a family member for a short amount of time until you find something. And I guess that would be one of the things that I would offer, that there is a responsibility of National Court to try to help you, but you also have to do some of that work yourself and try to figure out where can you live if it needs to be an interim situation, you know, like a short-term situation.
Muchas veces uno tiene que buscar también otras opciones cuando las puertas se han cerrado. Por ejemplo, vivir con un familiar, unas amistades, un tiempo corto, una cosa así, y mientras ver cómo se pueden relocalizar.
Pero en mi caso yo no tengo familiares aquí y yo sé que usted como madre de familia, en lo personal, yo no me gustaría meter a mis hijas, que son mujeres, con cualquier persona que no sé qué les puedan hacer algo.
So first off, I don't really have family here, and I think you as a lady and as a mom, you wouldn't like to move your girls into a place where you don't even know what's going on in that house.
Well, I'm not saying with a stranger. Definitely, I wouldn't just go living with a stranger either. I guess my point is that all options, you know, there needs to be some working together on all ends of trying to figure out where you are going to live.
Definitivamente no se mete uno a la casa de un extraño. La cosa es de que tiene uno que mudarse a veces y estar en unos lugares apropiados como se pueda, y no, o sea, tiene uno que tener otras opciones, no nada más estancarse en lo imposible.
Ok, nosotros entendemos toda esa parte de lo que usted nos está diciendo, pero Villa Serena nos prometió que nos van a reubicar.
I understand what you're saying, but the promise was that we would be relocated.
Hubiera sido una historia diferente
It would have been a different story
si ellos desde un principio hubieran dicho,
if at the very beginning they had said,
a lo mejor no te reubicamos, puedes buscar por tu cuenta.
you know what, we're not going to relocate you, you have to look on your own.
Pero ellos desde un principio prometieron que nos iban a reubicar.
But from the very beginning, they promised that they would relocate.
Tenemos los papeles de la primera cita que fue el 28 de enero
We have the paperwork from the 28th of January,
del año pasado,
which was last year, the first
donde,
meeting.
donde ahí te daba los beneficios.
Wait, the 28th of January
De diciembre, perdón.
Sorry, December.
Diciembre.
Oh, December, okay, sorry.
Of last year. ¿En dónde tienen?
Donde tenemos la información de los beneficios que tenía cada miembro de Villa Serena, cada residente.
Where we have a defined show of information of the benefits to each, belonging to each person.
Okay, and that's one of the things that I want to understand. What exactly does that say? This is a very tough situation. I'm sure that everyone that's out in the audience can understand. This is a very difficult position to be put in. And I don't want to seem unsympathetic at all, because I've been there, as I mentioned, as a kid, not as a mom, but as a kid. And I understand all of the stress that this is causing. I think that also everyone has to work together to figure out what the solution is going to be. But I hate to think that this could lose the funding, and I don't even know what would happen then. But if it were to lose its funding, another 11 years, I just don't think that it would be habitable.
Precisamente eso es esto es lo serio de todas estas cosas, que es un paquete demasiado fuerte y difícil de entender,
Por eso quiero yo entender cuáles son estos beneficios y estos derechos y estas cosas que ustedes tienen como residente. El perder la oportunidad de usar estos fondos que se les han dado para reconstrucción serían otros 11 años de no reparar ni hacer nada. Entonces, esto es lo difícil de todo este tema, de la relocalización, cómo ustedes tienen que también hacer su parte y cómo, o sea, que todo tenga un buen fin.
Ok, nosotros hemos hecho nuestra parte.
We have done our part.
Yo en lo personal he dedicado varios días que he perdido trabajo a ir a buscar lugar por lugar.
I personally have gone out and looked for place by place and not even had, lost days of work because of this.
Y no encontramos nada.
And we're not finding anything.
Como le vuelvo a repetir,
As I'm repeating,
yo sé que no está en las manos de ustedes, ¿verdad?
I know it's not in your hands.
Que está más que nada en la situación de los dueños de Villa Serena.
That it's more probably in the hands of the owners of Villa Serena.
Pero por eso venimos a pedirles un consejo a ustedes, qué es lo que nos pueden sugerir hacer.
But we come really for, some advice so that maybe you can help us to see or find out what to do,
¿Con quién hablar?
who to talk to,
¿Quién es el indicado?
who's the right person.
So if there are no places for rent in San Marcos, let's just say there are 0 places to rent in San Marcos.
Y diríamos que hay 0 lugares para renta.
I don't
en
know
San
if this is the case, but if it is the case,
No sé si ese es el caso, pero si es el caso,
I don't see anyone being able to have another new place to live. I'm not, that's the reality of what we're looking at. I mean, I don't know what the answer is.
no veo
This is a
quien
very tough situation.
tenga un lugar si es que lo hay. Y es la realidad. Es una situación sumamente difícil.
Ok, entendemos toda esa parte, ¿verdad? Pero como lo vuelvo a repetir, si ellos nos prometieron desde un principio, lo único que nosotros queremos es que nos cumplan.
Again, I'm repeating myself. The only thing is that I want them, or we want them, to stick to their word of the promises that they gave us at the very beginning.
Porque yo pienso que ellos tienen más conocimiento de ese tema.
Because I would think that they are more aware or they know more about this topic.
Como propietarios, como managers de esas de residencias,
As owners or managers of residences,
ellos sabían que probablemente no hay nada en San Marcos.
they may know already in advance that there's nothing in San Marcos.
¿Por qué entonces dicen que nos van a reubicar?
So why are they telling us that they relocate us?
Well, that's why I want to know what the relocation plan looks like. Does it say, and I think I asked that a little bit earlier, does it say that it has to be in San Marcos? Because I don't know how anyone would be able to guarantee that.
Por eso es lo que quiero indagar y ver, porque muchas veces, o sea, tenemos lugares en San Marcos o no. Eso se tiene que también ver. A lo mejor no hay lugar en San Marcos.
Okay.
Okay.
So tomorrow night, I will be there. Councilmember Nunez will be there. Silvio Daniels will be there, our staff person, and we will be there. We will listen. I'm just not sure what it is that we can do, but I'm willing to help facilitate whatever I can. And this is a terrible situation, and I want you to understand, my heart breaks. I'm beside myself over this. I want you to understand, I am beside myself over this. And I think we all are.
Primero que nada, yo voy a estar mañana ahí, también María Núñez, también parte de los empleados de este consejo. Sí le quiero decir que es una situación sumamente difícil y que realmente me ha partido el corazón ver lo que está pasando y que no podemos resolver nada. Me duele ver esta situación tan difícil en la que se encuentra.
Ok, muchas gracias. Y otra cosa,
Thank you very much. And one more thing,
me gustaría también
I would like also
que si pudieran meter un poco más las manos por las personas de la tercera edad,
that if you could help the elderly.
porque hay muchas personas de la tercera edad que viven de su pensión,
There's a lot of people that live just, from their retirement.
que se enfocaran un poco más en ellos. También nosotros importamos, pero que se enfoquen un poco más en ellos.
We're also very important, but there's really a need for focusing on the elderly.
Muchas gracias por escucharme.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
A usted.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
So I just want to make a quick comment on, I think Councilmember Sinella summed it up good. This is very disturbing to all of us. I appreciate everybody being here. Just so everybody knows, the staff does give us weekly updates, and so we are hearing in between these twice a month meetings. And so just a couple facts to share. There are 54 units, as everybody knows, pending relocation. 5 units have been relocated. 2 units are scheduled for relocation by the end of February. 17 units have applications in, and there is 1 person who actually is in escrow to purchase their place. So just want to make sure everybody has the facts that I know there's a lot of work to do, but there is some progress being made. So I just want to make sure everybody realizes that some people have been or are in the process of being relocated. So that's all I had to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, we will move on to our public hearing for this evening. Sylvia.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Sylvia Solis-Daniels. I'm the Housing and Neighborhood Services Manager. Tonight, Beth Herzog, Administrative Service Manager, and I will present the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program, which is also referred to as the PLHA program. In September 2017, the California Legislature approved Senate Bill 2, known as the Building Homes and Jobs Act. This established a $75 recording fee on real estate documents to increase the supply of affordable housing. The act established the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program, which is administered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD. The PLHA program provides a permanent source of funding for cities and counties to help meet the unmet needs for affordable housing and increase the supply of affordable housing units. Under the PLHA program, funding is provided through formula grants to entitlement jurisdictions based on a formula prescribed under federal law for the Community Development Block Grant Program over a 5-year funding period. The City of San Marcos is an entitlement jurisdiction and eligible to receive an estimated $1.9 million over the initial 5-year funding period from 2019 to 2023. The state requires entitlement jurisdictions to use PLHA funds to increase the supply of affordable housing. The City of San Marcos plan proposes to utilize funding for the pre-development, acquisition, rehab, and preservation of multifamily residential live-work, rental housing that is affordable to extremely low, very low, low, or moderate income households, including necessary operating subsidies. Funds are limited to the physical development of affordable housing and do not include relocation funding. Funds will be offered in the form of a non-forgivable, low-interest loan, similar to our current affordable housing loans. In order to receive PLHA funds, the city is required to submit a PLHA plan detailing the manner in which funds will be used, a description of the way the local government will prioritize investments that increase the supply of housing for households at or below the 60% AMI level, and a description of how the plan is consistent with the programs within the city's housing element, as well as evidence that the plan was authorized and adopted by resolution by City Council and had public opportunity to review and comment on its content. The public comment period ran from February 15th and will be concluded at tonight's public hearing. This concludes our presentation, and we're available for questions.
Thank you, Sylvia. Do any council members have any questions of Sylvia? Yes. Councilmember Nunez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I welcome this funding. It's much needed. So I do have a couple of questions. In terms of the public comment, can you share what we did receive?
We don't currently have any public comments.
And can you tell us a little bit about what we did in order to elicit public comment from our residents?
We followed our standard public comment hearing process. It's been posted on our website for the last 2 weeks, and it was also published in the required newspaper.
And so what are the possibilities for this funding? What does this do for our housing stock and for our housing needs?
We will solicit a NOFA for future affordable developments. It could cover anything from the pre-development to the construction of affordable development.
One of the things that I note here in the presentation is that these funds could be used for rehabilitation. What does that mean then for our existing housing stock? Like, for instance, what I'm thinking about is we hear about some of the poor conditions in some of our mobile home parks. Is this something that can be used to help our mobile home residents?
No, it is required for affordable developments that are affordable structures, so multifamily structures.
Okay, so does that mean then, are there some of our housing stock that might be able to benefit from some of this funding?
Yes, current housing stock could benefit. The priority is for new construction, but we could do a NOFA that opens up for that entire definition, pre-development, development, acquisition, rehab, and then select the most competitive applicant.
So then what does this mean then for our residents? Are they precluded from submitting comments, or what can our residents do if they have some ideas or specific needs?
Residents are welcome to submit comments. We'll accept comments we've offered via email, which is still up on our website, and at the public hearing right now.
And I see that this is directly tied to our housing element. So what does it mean for our residents? When will be either updating our element housing plan, or if you can share a little bit about what that would look like for our residents? In terms of, I'm thinking about the priorities where we're at and whether or not those might change.
So the housing element is reported on annually, and I believe that's coming up at a near future council meeting. But this is just in alignment with the housing element. It is not a change to the housing element.
So then will that provide an opportunity then for our residents to give us further comments or let us know if there are any needs that they have or suggestions for our funding?
I think irrespective of the period closing for public comment as it relates specifically for these regulations as we move forward with the 5-year plan, I think we should probably always continue to encourage our residents to reach out to our housing department. So I think Sylvia welcomes resident commentary 365 days a year, because I think that's really helpful and beneficial to our program.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't have anything further.
Okay, well, oh, go ahead. No, it's okay. Couple of questions. Oops. So this would be similar to our other affordable housing funds. It would be kind of last dollar in, possibly, if there was a project.
We could have that restriction. It could be last dollar in.
I'm not saying I don't want to restrict it. I'm just saying that's the idea. Somebody wants to do a project at affordable level, then this is $2 million extra dollars in our pocket that we might go to for.
Correct.
Okay. And then, let's see, there was a question. I think that's it. And my understanding is these will be kept in a separate fund then, so we can track them, and then what we have are affordable funds in.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick comment. So this actually, and I always talk about this, OPM, other people's money. It's not really other people's money, it still is our money, though this actually started in 2019. It was collected when the real estate documents were recorded, I believe, by SB 2. So $2 million, it's not a ton of money, but it is a good amount of money that we can now use for affordable housing and and having to do with affordable housing. I actually think working on our process and making it a little bit easier for us to report back to our community would be something I would be, and I know there is where is it? I saw it in here somewhere, and now I have to look for it. The admin part of it too, which can help us make our processes a little bit easier, more transparent for our community. I really like that part of it as well. So I actually, I'm very in favor of this and very excited to see us move this forward. So I would make a motion to close the public hearing, being that we don't have any public speakers on this item. Right? I haven't received any, no, okay. So I would, okay, so motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To close the public hearing, and then do we have a motion to approve the item?
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Okay. Second. All right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Okay, motion passes unanimously. So next up is oral communications. There are a few speakers that didn't want to speak. I don't want to put them on the spot and say, now you have to get up in here and speak. But they wanted to let everyone know that they are here in support of the Villa Serena residents. There is Marina Orlenas, Elizabeth Santa, Ernesta Flores, Maria Mendoza, Lalia Estancia, and Alexis Salgado, followed by Lorena Vasquez. So not speaking, just wanted to express their support for the community. I wanted to make sure I mentioned their names. And then I don't think I have any other speaker slips, do I, Phil? Okay. All right. That would be it for oral communications. Moving on to reports. The only report that I have on Sandag is we did have a meeting on the 23rd, which was last Friday. All of the discussion, we talked about several things. I think the most notable would have been the P cards and the transparency. There was one item that was $31,000 for employee/board member travel, but no information about it. So I said, listen, if we're going to be transparent, we need to actually be transparent. What is $31,000? Is it for one employee? And they're staying at the Taj Mahal for one night? I mean, we don't really have the information. And so it would be nice to know what that is. So I asked for better transparency on that. And then also we talked about, the inland rail trails. So currently there is a piece missing from San Marcos through Vista. So you can't go all the way from Escondido down over to the coast. And I said that that's really important for us to finish that because again, people do like to ride their bikes, and it is it'll be a very good thing for North County overall. So that was discussed. We also accepted some monies, $785,000 for the San Ysidro Mobility Hub, which we were getting federal FTA funds for that. And that's pretty much it. Oh, we did talk a little bit about the airport transit connection, and then what's coming next on that. And we don't have a final agenda item on that. That's going to be coming forward, but we talked a little bit about what we'd like to see. One of the things that I brought up was the 78, and I don't know how many of you actually are on the 78 at any given time or drive on it, but we have issues with it. And if you recall, just when we had all of the rain, it flooded there at El Camino Real, and they had to close the freeway, so that was unacceptable. So what I said, well, if there's a savings on the central mobility or on the airport transit connection, it'd be great to have the projects, including the 78, moved up on just the environmental part, so that we could use some of that money to move that forward, so that we have it shovel ready, so we could apply for other people's money on that. And so, because we don't want it flooding and we want to make sure it's safe for people. So anyway, other than that, that was pretty much all we talked about. And moving on to League of California Cities, Councilmember Musgrove.
We meet the 11th of March.
Okay, North County Transit District.
We met on February 15th. I have 3 highlights for you. I spoke last time about our micro transit pilot that will hopefully happen in June. San Marcos was rated the highest among 14 possible areas, communities, cities for it. And so it should start in June here in San Marcos, and then it'll move on to other communities in following years, depending on the success of the pilot. It will be a 12-month pilot, and it is dependent, so because it's not a major service change, the board doesn't have to approve this, but it will be approved as part of the budget process. So if there's a budget issue, it's possible until that budget is approved, this is still on, could still be reviewed or reconsidered. The next thing we talked about is North County Transit also has a sustainability and climate action plan. We had an update on that. A couple things on that. We are already transitioning to 152 buses to zero admissions type operations, so that's in process. And we're doing a study. I've never seen an agency do so many studies, but we're doing a study on the transition of the rail fleet. So that is in process, and we were elected to participate in the Federal Transit Administration's voluntary transit plan, so we'll be filing that, and so we are working on the climate action plan. The other thing is, it's been a big discussion, is the Sorrento Valley Coaster connection. You wonder why we talk about that, because that's down in San Diego, but it is our third, let me get this right, it's our third highest ridership station. So MTS, Metropolitan Transit, used to cover this. They informed us in October of last year that they were no longer going to be servicing this station. And so North County Transit has been very rapidly coming up with a plan to service the station. They're doing a lot of work with the Sorrento Valley businesses, looking to make the plan better than it was. It's going to be a little costly, but they're working out all the details. So we will be taking that on. And then the staff will be doing public outreach to figure out what's needed and how we can do it better in addition to what they've already talked about. So those are the big 3 items of our meeting. And our next meeting is March 21st, and our new CEO starts on March 1st.
I think one of the most important things about that whole thing is North County Transit, because when you talk about MTS, North County Transit owns the rail all the way down to Old Town, or I mean, I'm sorry,
Santa
not Old
Fe
Town,
Depot.
Santa Fe
So
Depot.
from Orange
Right,
County
from
to-
Orange County, the border at San Diego, all the way down, which is why North County Transit actually talks about these things that are down in San Diego. Because I remember when I first was on the board, I was like, wait, what? How is that? But
Right.
they own that whole rail line, which is pretty unusual.
Mhm.
That an agency owns all that rail, which is why San Diego is always trying to take over North County Transit, but we don't want them to have their way with us. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then, okay, moving on to North County Dispatch Joint Powers Authority.
We're meeting tomorrow morning. So
Okay.
I'll have a report next month.
Clean Energy Alliance.
We meet Thursday.
Wow, city council business visits. Oh, that's me. Real quick, that's you too. Wait a minute. For some reason, I was
I was
thinking.
there.
Yeah, I know you were
The
there.
picture.
I know. Okay, you go ahead and you start it off then,
Okay,
council
cool.
member.
Thank you, Mayor. So the mayor and I had a fun visit with Tess and our team yesterday, actually. It was just, I don't know, 26 hours ago. We went to a business called Luminary Arts, and Luminary Arts, they host small and personal acting, dancing, and singing classes. Kind of a remarkable story. They opened 2 weeks before the pandemic kind of shut everything down. So if you could imagine teaching dance classes and singing classes and stuff, that's very much needs to be done in person. And so they were able to somehow manage through that and survive, which is good and good for our community that they're still with us. Most of their operations take place in our schools across North County. They participate in the schools' music and art programming. They currently serve some of San Marcos Unified Schools, but not all. They do serve all of Fallbrook Unified Schools and a few schools in Vista. A recent analysis confirmed that they serve 6,000 students annually. Do you want to do the other half, or you want me to continue, Mayor?
Keep going.
Okay, I'll do
Yes.
the whole thing. Their total employment is 15, so they have 15 employees. They are looking to grow. They're looking for a larger kind of administrative building, but also one that has the capability to have either some additional dance floors or even potentially a theater space. If they could find like a church that moved on to a different location or something like that, that would work well for them. So our economic development team is working with them and communicating with them to see if we can find a way to help them locate a new place. They're committed to San Marcos. They're hoping to open up a theater space, like I mentioned. The company is hoping to do more community outreach to develop additional after-school programming. We talked a little bit about social media advertising and marketing. They like the idea. They do some of it, but they did acknowledge that there's some opportunity for them to enhance that, and maybe they might bring on an intern from one of the local colleges. Their performances range anywhere between 30 to 100 kids, depending on the show. And with possible collaborations with the community, Luminary Arts is a youth-focused organization bringing the arts to all. And that's what I got.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you for doing that. Sorry.
My pleasure.
I had to cancel my meeting tomorrow because I have to go to the.
Happy to help.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, the San Marcos Creek project.
Nice
City
and brief this week. We're just continuing with the final finishing touches. So work continues.
And our lights are going to be not flashing when? Do we know? It's okay. I just want to know if it's going to be this year. I'm just kidding. I know it's going to be this year. Is it going to be within 2 weeks? It's a couple weeks? Okay. All right. Within a couple of weeks, we won't have any more flashing lights. I look forward to that day. Anyway, it is a beautiful road. Very excited to use it. Okay, council commentary. Does anyone have anything? Everyone seems tired. I am too. All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned.